another day. Minimize you. Get some music. Although, I don't know if we can do John Wick. They'll get us like banned right away. You know what? The music, the piano music. I'm gonna try some different piano music. I think that this one doesn't get you in trouble with the copyright people, but we'll see. Yep, we are live. Hello. All right. We're gonna get started at 11:10. Be right back. Happy fish. We're gonna go through Vim Tutor today, so don't stress. No reason to stress. Om Saraya Namaha. Could you show your office? You know, it's funny. I watched a thing all about how people are so fascinated by the backdrops. There's a whole thing they did about bookcases, about what it says, how to have a power bookcase that says your mean business, and it went through. It's a fun YouTube video if you want to watch it. The answer is no. You're never going to see my office. If you ever see my office, you'll probably see like a top-down thing of my Arduino or my my mad scientist lab here. I mean, you wouldn't be impressed. It's got tech stuff everywhere and random Star Wars stuff and yoga deities and old tech and typewriters and lights. It's nothing fancy. I am going to remodel it though. So, see for inspiration. That depends on what inspires you. I did sleep enough, yes. I got a good amount of sleep. But I was up pretty late. Actually, so are you. Yeah. Let's get an Arduino so we can do a lot of this stuff. I don't know. To tell you the truth, if you read through the Head for C book, again, I'm trying to get us off books, but the Head for C has thanks. Head for C has a section in it where we do some C coding for Arduino, and that is a thing. So I don't know if we're going to include it. We got, we're going pretty quickly through the schedule. But yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, an Arduino. The reason I think you need an Arduino is because it has a more practical usage of the C language. A Raspberry Pi, you can write everything in, Node even if you wanted. And last night on all the videos, we'll watch your video while I work from home. You do what you need to do. The videos I have are very informal. I wanted to talk about this, but I don't have time. So I'm going through a couple of idea processing ideas going on here. One of them is creating my own Docker image to get everybody started faster that has everything configured on it already, to get a sense for it before you go do your own installation and stuff. So that means on the first day you would just download a Docker image and be up and running, and your VI would be configured and your links would work. And that would rob you of the ability to configure it for yourself, at least initially, but then everything would just work and you wouldn't have to mess around with it. So the first thing everybody would install would be the terminal, and the second thing they would install would be Docker, and then we would download a Docker image just from a command, and have your vimrc set up, have everything exactly the way I want it. And then you could actually, this is how we used to do skillstack.sh. The first thing anybody learned was SSH, and they SSH besides the terminal, and then they would SSH at the time, even with PuTTY, they would SSH into skillstack.sh, which had been pre-configured for everyone, and they would use that system to do all of their practice. That might be a better idea. That might be a better idea. Subscribe to Tier 3. Thank you, sir. Wow. So I am one problem with Docker is some images get really big to download. You know what? And that's what I was just thinking. So the more, we only have 2 minutes, and then we're going to get going right fast as possible on VI, but I'll probably be online tonight talking about this stuff again. The more I evaluate all of this last boost, the more I'm convinced that the way I started, thank you guys, yeah, the way that I started is more important than anything else. And the way I started 7 years ago when I started doing this, I quit my job and started helping people out. The way I started was I had a server in the cloud and everybody SSH'd into it and did their work there. And they could do all kinds of things. They could and talk to each other and everything. And the more that this progresses, the more I keep finding that is the fastest possible way to get people started, because you guys are on a shared system. It's exactly what Carnegie Mellon does for Pico CTF. And yeah, I think I've just decided that that's what we're going to do. But if you want to hear me more, if you want to hear me, what is it? Like thinking SSH now. Well, there's a problem is I have one, but it hasn't been hardened. And if it's going to have 100,000, if it's going to have thousands of people on it, we want to make, you know what though? From the first, when I started streaming, I set up a system for this kind of thing. I actually did no.sh. I'm going to do this. The problem we have here is that, no, it's not a Bitcoin miner. If somebody starts to Bitcoin mine on the thing, somebody else might be concerned that I'm harvesting IP addresses. There's a lot of reasons not to do this, unless you feel safe connecting to my server. But it's not just whether you feel safe into connecting to my server. It's also, do you Z-Shell. I don't pronounce Z-Shell. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start on the Vim stuff. If you're interested in me trying to figure out how to manage this big mess of people the most efficiently, let me know. At one time, I maintained a server package for anyone who wanted to run their own. At the time, it was SkillStack. That's the name. Skillstack.sh servers, so that it came pre-configured in a way that stuff would just work. And people went on to use that configuration in their home systems as a crutch until they were able to kind of branch out and make their own distros and everything. And that actually really worked well. Everybody who went through that was like monstrously good at what they do, and they still are. If I run into them, they're still doing amazing things on the terminal. And the first thing they learned was, how to open a terminal. The second thing they learned was how to connect to a remote system with SSH, which is what you do for over the wire. And after that, they learned VI in the command line. You know what? Anyway, if you want to hear more about me just trying to figure out what the best way is to get everybody going quickly, let's do it. The big downside of that I found was that people would become dependent on the server, and I don't want people to become dependent on this server. Okay, all right. So don't do VimWiki. No VimWiki. VimWiki is not as good as just plain old Markdown for lots of reasons that we'll talk about in 2 weeks. Knowledge as source. Maybe have a 1 hour uptime. You're talking about rebooting it? Yeah. Uninstall Emacs so they won't depend on your server. Well, that's the thing I did. So I actually put a bunch of things on the server that you couldn't use. You like Nano. Nano was I replaced Nano with a thing that would flash at you saying don't use Nano. I need to think about this. My concern is the security implications of doing it, because if I do it, what is it? You could just connect to Pico CTF and be fine. Allowing connections like for only an hour. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things we could do. If I actually had a server administrator team, and I could actually have people from the group participate in it and help me manage it. And that would be, that is still to this day the most efficient way to do Unix education, because that's how universities do it. They still do it. So because they have a multiple user system, they don't want to confuse them with how to install Linux, etc. And we burned up a lot of time on all of that stuff. Everyone will have a user account. Yep, you all have your own individual user account that you create, and you would have to send me your public. You'd have to send me your public keys so you could connect. You'd have to know how to do that, but that would be no different than GitLab or GitHub. And then you would have to be okay connecting from a system. And we would have on the first day, actually, on the first day we would talk about OpenVPN. We would talk about OpenVPN and Proton Mail VPN, so that people could, if they wanted to, they could start using the VPN from their house rather than risk connecting. But if they don't care about me knowing their IP, or frankly anybody on the server knowing their IP, and Pico CTF certainly does not, neither does Over the Wire. Both of them do not care about doxing your IP. Then that would be the way to go. So yeah. One of my cousins has a startup at Comp Sci, and he's using Visual Studio, and the only shell he uses is Python. Well, that's no. That is not the kind of technologist I want to emerge from Beginner Boost. Visual Studio is awesome, and I used it for a long time. All right, so today is about VI. We're really not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to go through VimTutor together. Because for a number of reasons, I actually have tons of notes on paper that I've been taking over the years that I need to. Beginner Boost is going to be a long time. Actually, have him start up the next one. I am working. Haven't got it done yet, but I'm working on a schedule /next. So it's not even. It's just a copy of the old one right now. But I'm actually redoing the schedule for the next Beginner Boost, which will start, some time from now, and that the reason for that is because I'm going to that next boost is going to be radically different than this boost was, and perhaps the biggest change will be that we'll be logging into a centralized server. So I don't. We need to. My brain is in figure stuff out mode right now, not do VI mode. So let me turn back to teaching you VI. And let's see how fast it takes us to get through Vim Tutor. It takes the average person from the fastest one ever was 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to go through, hopefully you've been through Vim Tutor, or at least tried. If you haven't gone through Vim Tutor at all, that's fine, you can watch, but we're going to go through it. It does not have an Evernote note. Why would it? No, it does not. This is VI we're talking about. So let's talk about a little bit of the history of VI, so we can just get this done. I'm actually going to take a few notes here. So what is VI, and what is the history of it? So VI is the most, VI actually these days is called Vim, but it's not Vim, it's VI. They're two different things. Is the oldest editor on the planet except for Ed. And we might actually do an Ed module during this. It's not really official. I'll do a little separate thing about how to learn Ed. It's a great editor, particularly if you're going to be a pen tester, because you don't have VI. So VI, in the early days, you only could just edit thing one line at a time, and you didn't have the ability to open up a file and actually move around and change things. So we're talking about a long time ago, 70s. And so at that time, somebody wanted a visual mode of this line editor that you can only edit each line. And so they came out with VI, visual mode for Ed, and then later X. And there's still X in there. So strictly speaking, in fact, if you do man VI, you'll see that that VI is still X. Okay, so X was kind of like an editor that came in between Ed and VI. And it's a decent video. It's a decent editor, and you'll find yourself using X mode. Anytime you're looking at a colon, you're looking at something that's from X mode. So this sometimes throws people because VI is a combination of X mode, of X, the X editor, the line editor, and visual mode, which is the visual mode. And sometimes you can push the wrong key and you can end up in X mode and you don't know what to do. When that happens, just type :VI, by the way, and that will get you back into visual mode, which is the default, and that's usually what you want to use all the time. So yeah, the X stuff is kind of a language. And there's graphic. I don't know why anybody would use a graphical Vim, and we're going to talk about why that is as we get further along. But you want to stay on the terminal. These days, if you type VI, you are actually using Vim, okay, and that's what that is. That's a symbolic link that goes to it. Okay, so here we go. This is VI. This is Vim, and why would you use? I'm only going to spend one sentence on this. We're not going to have a fight about it. Why would you use VI? Well, you'd use VI because it's on everything, and I don't just mean Linux. It's on everything. These days, it's on Windows. So if you have Windows subsystem for Linux on there, so it's on AIX, it's on Solaris, it's on SCO, it's on ancient AIX systems. VI is the oldest, most ubiquitous editor on the planet, and that is why everybody should learn it. Yeah, a lot of them, some of them do have real VI. Little note, if anybody actually wants to use the real VI, and not Vim. Vim is VI improved, and a lot of people would say that it wasn't an improvement, that it was a bloated disaster. I'm kind of in the middle of that. People now use Vim as if it was Emacs, and they do so many alterations to it, I call them Vimisms, that you could never be functional on another computer that has VI because your fingers have memorized a bunch of stuff that depends on that one thing. Well, we gotta rip through this, but I'll pull up that joke in a sec. App Vim. It's an Apple joke. Why would I? Okay, yeah, that is kind of a funny thing. That is just yet another reason to not use app stores. As long as you know the difference when dealing with Vimisms and Bashisms, you're fine. The problem with that is muscle memory. And so as I go forward, I've been talking about this forever. This entire boost is to make you efficient and empowered on any Linux computer. End of statement. That is where all these decisions are coming from. This is why I'm not teaching you Emacs. Emacs is a wonderful editor if you want to sit in one place and work on one system. But when you need to go to another system and be productive, forget it, because you can't take Emacs with you. Emacs people hate when I say that, but it's just reality. This is also why learning some of the Vimisms, including visual mode, I believe are bad. VI is, I don't know if I would say POSIX. If you actually want to use the true VI experience, they've actually made a tool that you can install called NVI, which is the exact original VI with all of its bugs included. It means there's no colors mode. It's amazing the stuff that when you try this, I suggest somebody, if you really want to learn VI, so like try your visual mode here, dude. Here, try Control V. No visual mode. Try your arrows. Oh no. Oh, they added arrows. Those dorks. Actually, they added arrows. They added arrows to, it's not, you wouldn't want bugs, but you wanted the authentic experience. Okay, this is actual VI. There's no syntax highlighting, set number. I think it's numbers. Yes, it does have line numbers. It has the standard, stuff. It doesn't read my vimrc. So but this is the old original, the original Bugs Place. It's just basically the only reason this exists is for you to compare, to see if what you are now using, in Vim is compatible across all Unixes, not just Linux, all Unix. And this is why I've had managers and senior people coming to give tech talks at my place directly tell people, they've asked them which editor you're using, and I didn't even seed the questions. Is it, yeah, VI, and then it's like, make sure you don't use the arrow keys and it'll become blah, blah, blah. Because why? Because this senior manager has had to deal with people coming into his company who can't use the editor that comes on the systems that they are being in charge of editing and taking care of. So this is why at least learn it this way. Only the open and visual modes of the editor are described in POSIX. Okay, well, I don't know what that means, but it'd be interesting to see VI workflow for the large code bases. Linux. Most of Linux is developed with, the GNU project is all Emacs mostly, but most of the Linux project is all VI. And that includes Linus Torvalds himself. He uses VI to do code. A lot of C coders use VI. So it's been around. It's been used for a very, very long time. And for somebody who knows how to use it, it's very powerful. So that is the history of VI. That is why we're using it. I don't want to have a fight about it. You can't use VI these days on most systems because it's Vim that comes with it. In fact, sometimes your system will come with a simple Vim. And so you actually have to do a sudo apt install Vim if you're on Debian. And you have to get the real Vim, the one that has all of the scripting and stuff. And I don't mind saying that I like that Vim, it meets the middle ground between that. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to turn Vim into Emacs, but I'm definitely okay with like syntax highlighting and some of the stuff you can put in the script. And just to give you a sense of how powerful VI is, I just want to give you a little quick taste. So let's say I'm here editing this file. I have a markdown file that has a table in it, right? Well, with VI, I can actually send that entire table to the Pandoc program and convert it into HTML in a few keystrokes. In a few keystrokes, I converted this whole table into Pandoc and turned it into HTML. Another thing I could do is like, that's what this is. I can do an insert. I can grab somebody's, I can run a program and insert the role for one of my students. Good old Mark, I hope he doesn't mind. He's in debate team, so I can just insert. Can we see the keystrokes on the screen? Yes, you can. So screen key, let me activate that. All right, so here we go again. So if I was going to send this one I'm using the magic wand commands, I'm just giving you a taste of why VI is so powerful. So I do exclamation point, and then I do a right curly bracket, and that says, and down here at the bottom left, it tells me, it puts me into X mode and puts this gibberish that says send those lines to the program Pandoc and replace those lines with the output of that program. I call it magic wands because of how magical it is. But you can do that with anything. And so here's something else. So let's make we're going to go through all of those things. The right curly bracket selects to the end of the section, which we're going to cover. I'm just trying to give you an overview of how powerful it is. You can actually write code that writes code. So for I in 1 to 10, do echo item $I1 done. Okay, so this is some bash code, right? And now what? Now I'm going to send that line, I'm going to bang bang, and I'm going to send that call line to the bash program and replace it with its output. So if I wanted to, I can do, if I wanted to comment these lines out, check this out. So I wrote a little program that just puts a comment symbol in front of everything. So I could go this, I could do bang, right curly bracket, and I can say I want to do CMT. Let's say I want to comment them with, I don't know, three slashes. And then it will replace those lines with 3 slashes in the front. So the power of VI, and I want to preface this entire day, the day or two about VI, the power of VI comes from its close integration with the shell, which is why graphic versions of VI that run on Windows and stuff are jokes, because they can't leverage the power of the shell. VI is only as powerful as the shell in which it runs. This is also why Z shell is bad for combining with VI, because it cannot export functions. And that means that the functions you write in Z shell for your bash RC or for your Z shell RC cannot be used from within VI because they haven't been exported. So something like this. So here I am, I'm like, let's say I want to add a new date thing, okay? Bang, bang, 2 exclamation points, and then I run a program I ran called HNow. All it does is give me a thing with the timestamp. Didn't have to do any extra work. What if I wanted to insert the calendar? Bang, bang, cal. What if I wanted to insert the entire year calendar? Bang, bang, cal 2020. You see what I'm saying? So, and we're talking about any output whatsoever. If I wanted to do, because it's translating it, okay, bang bang is just a fast way to translate that other thing that it sends. So I'm going to try, watch this one. Let's list everything that's in the current directory, ls. Boom. So there's all of the files in this current directory. All right. Let's do this. Let's do, and by the way, most people do not know about the magic wands, which is why I am leading with them. This is why I hope that you will continue to watch, because if people truly understand the integration of VI with the shell, they won't use anything else, and especially system administrators. Let's say you want to put the uptime in a report you're making. You know, you do uptime, you can like write the uptime line. You see what I mean? So it's like right there, it's going on. It's just very powerful. And this is what makes this is particularly powerful when you combine it with editing code, when you combine it with writing. So another one. So here's another one, guys. Why is cal sideways? Because I'm running my cal and I'm running ncal instead of cal. That's the way I like it, because I like sideways and I like the weak numbers. Anyway, so here's another one. Okay, so let's say I want to put I'm writing some code, some Go code or something, and I want to put a title. So I can write the title. It's like, this is a title, okay? And now watch, bang bang, and I can send that title line to a program called htitle that I wrote. It's a shell script, and then I do this. It does not do the same. That sends the whole file, and that's not what we're talking about doing. That sends the whole file, Alan. That's not correct. So this actually, do you see what this did? So let me try that again. So bang bang, and then I'll type htitle, and that will automatically center it and everything. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you understand the integration of VI with the shell, the amount of macros, plugins, and customizations you need drops to zero, practically zero. In fact, if you look at my vimrc, I know I'm starting with stuff that you don't understand quite yet, but I just want to show you this. My vimrc drops down to how many lines? To 162 lines, right? No. So is it command? Yeah. So what bang bang does, it's a magic number. And by the way, if you want to read about these more, I'm jumping ahead. So if you want to immediately read about what I just told you, rbxgg/vi #magic, and it will show you the VI magic wands. So that describes in detail what I just did. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when you understand this integration, your customization of your website, your customization of your website becomes creating shell scripts. Not just shell scripts. You could create a Go script. You could create any script. if you want to do that, if you want to set to bin sh, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. So the other thing you can do is that, I mean, when you understand that, then you basically you end up, I can't see anything. You end up with a scripts directory like this, because what you'll find is that your scripts directory then contains all of your customizations. Yeah. Now so let's say if you can, if you're going to stick with Z Shell, so to be fair, if you're going to stay with Z Shell, then you have to be sure, we talked about this yesterday, but you have to be sure to use scripts instead of exported functions, because Z Shell does not have exported functions. Okay, so you can accomplish, in fact, this is why I moved many of my exported functions into scripts again. Some of them are one-liners like htitle. This is htitle, right? And here is hnow. Hnow is a very simple script. So basically, instead of writing these macros in Vim script, here's a really great thing. Every one of these scripts works anywhere. It works anywhere. It works. If I wanted to use Emacs, I could use this script with Emacs. If I wanted to use it with VI or Vim, or, you know, if I just wanted to write a shell script that applies these transformations to the text, I can do that because I'm thinking in the Unix way. I'm thinking about one thing well, and I'm integrating VI with the shell properly. And so this is the calmest way that I can present to you the case for using VI over everything else. It is by far the most powerful editor on the planet, way more powerful than Emacs. You know why? Because it integrates the entire power of the Linux command line shell, whatever it is, whichever one you want, and any program that you could potentially run in addition to that. There is nothing more powerful than that. Now, Vim does add some things that are very valuable, so I'm going to do that. Now, we're going to go through Vim Tutor, I promise. But so some of the things that I really like about Vim script is this. So you can copy and paste between two files. Now, I don't suggest doing that and getting too used to that, but you can. You can change what prints out. You know, you can change the cryptic visualizations of spaces and line returns and stuff, which you normally couldn't do before. So set no list. We're going to go through the vimrc. Don't worry, that's probably tomorrow. But you have much finer control over everything. You can detect things about your system. You can manage your memory. You can set your plugins. Oh, this is one. You can use plugins, of course, but I don't use a lot of plugins. These are the only plugins I use right now. GetGutter, which is kind of nice. VimGo, because I code in Go. VimToml, and a plugin that I'm writing that I'm actually going to rename. I did Vim Pandoc Symbol, and this is some cool stuff. Let me show you one last example of the power of VI. Okay, so let's say I'm doing this line right here. Now, I know everybody's going to say, oh no, Perl, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Forget it. If you know that Perl is the most powerful language on the planet for regular expressions, in fact, it has become the standard for regular expressions, being included directly into every other language on the planet, then you understand that when you're going to use a hairy regular expression like this, it's okay to use Perl. With this Vim Perl leave, can anybody tell me what that does by chance? Line modem noise. It's regular expression. It's extremely powerful regular expression. You might not like how it looks, but watch what it does. Anytime I create a file in Markdown that has a link in it, I really love Vim. All right, I can now do this, and it doesn't send it to DuckDuckGo. It takes any blank link, Markdown link, and when I close my VI, it replaces that link with a call to search DuckDuckGo based on the keyword that was within the brackets. It transforms any blank link automatically into a link to search the internet. And that's pretty damn powerful. Yeah. So if, you know, this is how, by the way, this is what I do when I write, because I know that certain things are going to need to have, you know, stuff on the end. I always use regular regex of Vim. Yep, you can do that too. That's a pretty common thing. At the end, that ends up hiding your links that don't go anywhere, I think. Yes, it does. And actually, that's why so many of my links got corrected. I added that actually because I was tired of links not going to places where they were good. and I decided to add that because at least that's what you would do in the meantime, right? At least you can search the internet and see what is out there until I can replace it with a localized version. My goal, of course, with RWXGG, the app, the Knowledge app, is to make everything in it entirely local, so that you can have it on your phone or whatever, or even download it and not have to depend on the internet at all or any Google search engine or DuckDuckGo or anything, and just be able to have it all there. That's my ultimate goal for that. But in the meantime, I can write a nice little one-liner that replaces any of my blank links, and then later on I can go fish out all the links that have DuckDuckGo in them, and I can change those links to localized content as soon as I replace it with local content without losing track of where I would save a thing. So VI is a critical, essential tool to my writing workflow, in addition to my the other stuff that we do here. You can do all kinds of things. The last thing I want to show you. So let's say I wanted to pull in something from EEX. So let's say I send my script here. Okay, so I'm going to send my EEX script itself to EEX. So EEX is a fun little command line tool that uses curl for cutting and pasting. I can grab this number here and I can edit that file again. Let's say I was writing and I wanted to put it in a code block. So I put a code block here, and I'd call it bash because it's bash code. This is Markdown. We're going to learn all about that in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to go insert that file at that spot. Bang, bang, IX space, paste, enter, and it will pull down the content off of the internet and insert it into my file without leaving the file. So the integration with any possible command, including commands that access the internet. I mean, God, I could put the weather here. I don't know how well it would show. Is this what are you talking about? EEX? No, this is all the insertions are. So this, yeah. What are you talking about? Default? No, EEX is a tool that I wrote. So it's actually a tool I found on the internet and then hacked on. So this is the EEX script. The EEX is a cool script. I didn't make it. I mean, EEX.io existed and they had recommendation. This line comes from them. And then I just modified it. It's basically pastebin, if you know what it is, for the command line. And it's super cool. In fact, if you access the site from the web browser, you get rickrolled because it's not designed to be used I really love it because it's actually made by people who hate graphics browsers. In fact, this is their website. This is me looking at their website. It looks just like a man page. I didn't make EEX. I wish I made my own little version of the EEX executable. Yeah, and so I love it. It's like people after my own heart. They really have no love for graphics browsers, which is fine. And I mean, for the right thing. And anyway, so. Lots of stuff. Again, I just wanted to spend, in this case, 10 minutes getting you excited about the possibilities with VI. People think that VI is this drudgery, and they don't know what's possible. And I'm telling you, if they knew what was possible, what they're missing out on, they would give it a try. They would power through it and not, reach for Nano or whatever, Joe or Pico or something. So yeah. Anyway, so what are we doing here? So it doesn't show a Rickroll in Chrome, but the same man page. It's actually in the bookmark. It's kind of hard. It's kind of just a little thing there. Rob, I applaud you for what you're doing until I fire my brain, but I can't. I will continue to learn stuff because I like this. Yeah, of course. Put Clamave on my son. I don't know. I don't know how to do that right now. I have to bust through the VI stuff. This is actually a course right now. But Mark, actually, can I suggest anybody else too? Please go join our Discord, rwx.gg. Click on the Discord link, and you can join the Discord and ask. There's tons of places to ask the question in there. And it's buzzing. Every time I go in there, it's buzzing. It's way more active than I would have ever guessed. I actually made a whole bunch of new. In fact, I just made a Vim channel, so you can go in there and ask your Vim questions today. What is my favorite Linux desktop environment? Anyone with a terminal. That is my official answer. I don't use a desktop environment at all. Anyone that has. I like ones that have search, which is pretty much everyone. I honestly, I don't care about my desktop environment because, yeah, I don't use it. I use a terminal. I use a terminal and a browser. In fact, I've considered doing a Just Frazzle and doing all Docker for everything. Let's see, shell. Whoops. Nope. All right. So let's go back to VimTutor and do what will appear to be boring stuff. I apologize that VimTutor is boring. As we go into VimTutor, I need to tell you straight up, VimTutor is broken. It does not cover even the basics of everything. It was made by a bunch of college kids in Colorado, and somehow it ended up as the standard tutor to come with Vim. And I think that's extremely unfortunate, and I hope to eventually make a pull request. It's in GitHub to the VimTutor to actually make it include the minimum essential things, which is still missing, which I'm going to show you as we go through it. Until then, my only possibility is to annotate it with you and go through it and show you what they're missing out on. Not the least of which is some of the fancier commands like the exclamation point. I believe, however, having said that, whenever we talk about Vim, somebody immediately recommends Vim Adventures or any of their favorite online Vim tools. And I want to tell you, don't do it. Maybe do it after you've learned VI. You know what the best practice for VI is? Using VI. Not some broken emulation of it that you have to pay $15 a month to use. No. You know, the best way for you to learn VI is to use VI. And so the reason I continue to recommend VimTutor despite its problems is because it is the only tutorial currently that uses the command line. And you can probably guess I have started many versions of my own VimTutor tutorials. You can't watch the stream of VI. That would be fun. Actually, you can do a lot of things though. You can play Doom on the terminal. Yep, that's some pretty cool stuff there. So anyway, let me just say, and that's a good point. Anytime you're embarking on learning something new, seek as much as possible to use the thing, not some emulated version of it that's going to be buggy and depend on some web browser at some certain level. Use the actual thing. If you want to learn the terminal, use a terminal. Don't use some webified terminal. Don't even use Replit. Use the real thing. Get yourself a terminal. It's pretty easy to install and do it that way. I've set that show via how do I open editor to edit a multi-liner, Control X. What? You're talking about a multi-liner? I don't normally do that. I know what you're talking about though, because I often land in multi-line one-liners. I don't actually do that. I hope if somebody finds the answer to his question, please let me know. I frequently accidentally activate multi-line mode in VI, and I hate it. So let's see. I just use really long one-liners, like actual one-liners. But I'd actually like to know the answer to your question if somebody knows what that is. Just wait until Xer is down, so then you wish you know VI. Yeah, multi-line in Bass is. Is it? No, I think, yeah, you definitely can do that. You don't even need that. You can just, what he's talking about is being able to go back and edit your line, your multi-line. To be completely honest, as soon as I have that kind of thing, I'm making a foo script. Yeah, as soon as I need that level, I've already made a script. Because I want to go back to it. I don't want to just depend on my history for that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what he's talking. So yeah, let's go through. We're going to type VimTutor. If you don't have VimTutor, you know how to get it, right? So let me just show you. So sudo apt install Vim, and that will actually install VimTutor. I'm using Mint right now. This is Mint. I think Linux Mint is one of the better beginner ones, although my official recommendation for beginners is Pop! OS right now. But that's for beginners. It's up to you. It is pre-installed with Vim, but you sometimes might not have it because you might have the full version of Vim. Depends on what you have. But if you don't have it, that's what's going on. If you happen to do Vim space tutor on accident, let me show you how to recover from this. We had somebody do this the other day. What is this going to do, by the way? It's not going to run VimTutor, that's for sure. Why not use Nano? Why does it use Nano? Because they changed Nano to be the default. They changed Nano to be the default. So that's what's going on with Nano. Yep, you guys got it. So VimTutor is one word. Here we go. We're just going to go through it. version 1.7. I mean, this is ancient. This has not been updated in at least 20 years. At least 20 years this hasn't been updated. And I really want to update it because I care about it. It's supposed to make a Twitch comment. Yep, that's what I've been doing. I can start using my own Vim tutor TXT installing now. Okay. Yeah, did you have, so maybe you didn't have it. Vim is a very powerful editor. VI Studio is still Vim in Arch unless it's also changed. That's cool, Zeros. Good to know. Vim is a very powerful editor that has many commands, too many to explain in a tutorial such as this. That's no excuse to leave out the basic ones. This tutor, it's a tutorial, not a tutor, is designed to describe enough of the commands that you will be able to easily use Vim as an all-purpose editor. The approximate time required to complete it is 25 to 30 minutes. I already told you, most people think that's bullshit. So we're just going to go. The commands in this lessons will modify the text, make a copy of this file on practice on it. If you started Vim Tutor, this is already a copy, which is what we're going to do. Vim Tutor is an open source project that is a part of the Vim project. The reason that I'm hesitant to provide a pull request to it is because the Vim project notoriously does not accept pull requests. This is one of the primary reasons people cite for using NeoVim, which I think is an insufficient reason. That is not a reason. However, if my pull request isn't accepted, I'm strongly considering forking the Vim project and creating my own. Because I'm just tired of this Vim tutor messing people up. All right, so either that or make my own Vim tutor, which is an apt command, which is another thing I'm trying to do. Is I want to make my own RWX GGPPA, which is a way for you to install software from RWX, which would include my own Vim tutor. Okay, let's see. You bought the Vim book? That's cool. Vim book is a great book. It's just very, very long. But if you want to understand Vim script, it's a good book. It's a good resource to have. A PR to NeoVim. Now, I'm not using NeoVim because NeoVim is something that has to be installed. And if you're going to install something, I'd rather you just install the tutor because I don't need you to install VI. You don't need NeoVim. There's no reason to install NeoVim. People ask me about NeoVim all the time. And to this day, I had a big conversation about this yesterday. Nobody can tell me a single compelling reason to use NeoVim. It's just better. Okay, why? Tell me why. I don't think you would like the book you bought. Which one? Vim script? Did you buy the O'Reilly one, Frank? I mean, yeah, it might have a cleaner code base and it has other integrations. So does VI. VI 8.1 has that. So yeah, let's look this up. This is a reading resource, so it's probably worth looking up. Is it the O'Reilly one? Oh no. No, I haven't seen this one. You're right. That looks pretty funny. Oh, is this the one that has all the amazing different ways to exit? This is so cool. I want this. I want this so bad. I thought it was the O'Reilly book. The O'Reilly book is really good too, but it gets into the weeds really bad. If you want to learn how to do Vim script, which people love and hate, something on a blank VI screen. What are you talking about? Oh, all right. Here we go. All you need to know is xdd/r. Actually, so you might want to take a moment to review the survival guide. So I did put together a survival guide in case you do get stuck in VI. rbx.gg /VI #survive VI. And this just takes you through VI survival. We're going to send the tutorial, but they don't get to it for a while. So the movement keys are H, J, K, and L. The arrow keys do work for beginners, and they work in NVI, which means that they have been added to the standard VI application. Actually, somebody informed me of that a year ago. When Raspberry Pi suddenly started working, the arrow keys started working. It was because the Raspberry Pi only comes with VI. It didn't come with Vim. That might have even changed as well. But at the time, the arrow keys didn't work, which was another case to be made to not use the arrow keys. And all of a sudden, they started working. So I actually have the feeling the arrow keys have been added to the standard VI. But that doesn't mean they're going to work on systems more than 10 years old, but the chances of using those are very low. Escape is escape. Control left bracket is escape. It's a better escape, actually. What time we got? All right. So it's easy to edit. We're going to talk about these. Shift ZZ to edit, Shift ZQ. None of the capital versions of these, which are the originals, by the way, are listed. You're going to see :WQ a lot, which is much harder to type. So I don't know. The crazy thing is I still do :QW instead of left Shift ZQ, because that's, you know, a different key combination. It's up to you. It's whatever you want. But there, in some cases, there's actually, to exit, to save and quit, you can also do :X, which I should probably add to that. And then :W if you want to just save without exiting. So these are all of the main ones. And then I do the whole thing about shell integration down here. Okay, so moving on down through the tutorial, we're going to try to make it in our 3-hour period today, despite my talking. VimTutor. VimTutor, how do you save without quitting? Is :W. :W. Yep. Yeah, it's like, get me out of here, :X. Yeah. So anyway, here's the movement. It says, make sure that your shift lock key is not depressed. And this is a good fair warning. If you accidentally there's a few ways you can screw up a file faster than to accidentally hit your caps lock key. So let me just warn you right now. If stuff starts going really crazy, make sure, I don't know any alternatives to :W. I use it all the time though. I mean, I use it constantly because it's so easy to type. So shift, make sure you don't have caps lock. If something's going crazy and lines are joining, the lines all of a sudden start to join, it's because you're in caps lock mode and you're typing capital J instead of lowercase j, which is join. So that's what's happening. Yeah, I think mine does too. So anyway, so here you go. You got your movement H, J, K, and L, and the biggest frustration with this is that when people start a new file, they're like, I can't move down. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna go into the sample account real quick. Well, I guess I'm not, because I'm not gonna show you that. No, whatever. I can just show you here. Blah.md. So you see what's wrong here? What happens when I type J and K? Nothing happens. Why? Nothing happens. I can't move. People, I can't move. I'm stuck. Because I've only got one line here. So it's important you note, and you can turn these off if you want, but these little tildes mean non-existent lines. So there's only one line. All right. So people get frustrated by this. So if you actually want some breathing space, you know, you push I, and then, you know, enter, adds a few lines. Now I have 6 lines. And if you don't have lines, let me show you right away how to turn the lines on. Okay. So this is not something I'm going to teach you right away, but it makes me feel more comfortable. So, in fact, let's go ahead and add it to your first one. I'm going to p-kill the screen key for a second because I want to get into the sample account. Sample. You better not print. Good. Okay. And so now I'm in an account that doesn't have any configuration. So if I random.md, you get this, right? However, I'm going to delete my vimrc file, and so that you see what it's like when you don't have anything. So here's what we go. Here's what you have. All right. Now this is one of those cases where if you know tmux, it's really great because you can use two things at the same time. You can learn about the VimTutor stuff, and then you can also practice in a different file in a different window. So I'm changing files back and forth. I can turn my screen key back on if you really want. Screen key. So I have to be careful. Please don't let me type a password for everybody. So see how I'm switching between windows? So it's going between windows, and but if you don't have numbers, and if you want to turn your numbers on, you can. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to do vimrc configuration next, and we're going to go through, and you're going to add one line at a time to your vimrc, and then you're going to save it someplace nice and safe because you don't want to lose it. Moving your cursor around. Oh wow, we're almost done with our first hour. I'm gonna go ahead and stop. You guys get yourselves in order. I think I need to take the breaks as much for you as anyone else. I would just as soon power through the breaks today because I have so much to cover. But I think you guys need the breaks as much as I do. So So go ahead and let's see if you can do all of lesson 1 before I get back. Okay? Try to do all of lesson 1 before I get back. Yeah, if you want to set temporary numbers, you actually don't need them, but if you want to, you can go colon, set NU, enter, and you get line numbers. Okay? So if you want to do that, let's try that. You can't use WASD. No. FPS games should have used. I do sometimes wonder that. IJKNL. I don't. Yeah. If it would have been interesting though to know if they had made it 25 minutes of learning, 5 minutes of rest. Yes, sort of the Pomodoro. We've talked about that actually on the stream a lot. But in this case, we're going to take 15 minutes of rest, and we're going to do 45 minutes of learning. So let me give you let me give you a Kizzy Rhoda was VI, yeah. So try to get through the first section of this, and I'll be right back. Okay. And it's pretty easy. They want you to just do editing on the thing, and then when I come back, I'm going to slam through section 1, and we'll try to stay on task. Relative. I don't use relative line numbering. I go back and forth between the two. The reason I've turned off relative line numbering is it's really hard to communicate with somebody else what line you're on. So when you're streaming, in fact, streaming primarily was the reason I got rid of it, because I couldn't. People would say on line 48, and I'd have to go there close to it instead of saying 10 lines away from where you are now. So that's why I turned relative line numbering off. But it can be interesting. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys talk for a bit. I will turn. I'll just leave on some Vim, and I'll be right back. All right. Actually, Primegian is making a VI game where you'll be able to shoot from the terminal. It looks really cool. You should watch his stream of it. Oh, okay. It's the undo command. You know what? We should make our own Vim tutor. Let's make our own Vim tutor, people. Shouldn't we? I think we should like collectively make our own Vim tutor because you guys have good ideas. And Vim tutor was made in a time when somebody just said to make the Vim tutor. We get rated? Oh well. Was it Bacon Boost? Yeah. We had fun talking last night. Why is there coffee grains in my you'd think I'd know how to make coffee by now. I've got crunchy coffee grinds in my coffee because I did the whole filter thing. Apparently some splashed out. Now I have crunchy coffee. All right. We are going to go through VI. Let's just say it's Turkish. Yeah. Is this pre-recorded? How shall I prove it's not pre-recorded? By watching you, by responding to your... Whew! It's a little too hot, too. Alright. Pushing to remote GitLab without repo is not working. It is working. I'm not going to do it right now, though. Was that comment scripted? Alright, we got to get through this. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to stop looking at the chat. Nice regex. Nice regex. That's my kind of humor. Yes, everybody mentions that about my coffee mug. I only put stickers on my coffee mug. I'm generally not a stickers guy. Sometimes I'll sticker up my bike. Anyway, so we're moving HJK. Hold down the JK. Repeat. By the way, can I just make a shout out to the spammers out there There's nothing wrong with spamming. Stop shaming people who spam JKHNL. This is a public service announcement to everybody else. There is nothing wrong with spamming the navigation keys today. There might have been something wrong with that in 1977 when it took you all day to spam the keys to get to the bottom of the page. But now that we have, GPU accelerated terminals like Alacritty and even Mac's terminal is really wicked fast, just don't feel shame spamming the HJKNL for nav. Don't feel shame in that. It's okay to do that. And don't let anybody tell you different. You know why? Because when you do that, you have just eliminated how many dozen different other special esoteric navigation things that you would have to memorize. All right. So don't feel shame just using it. And by the way, if you're just starting out, don't feel shame using the arrows. So I'm going to use the arrows too. All right. If you have to use the arrows, one of the biggest advantages of the arrows for a beginner is because in insert mode, the arrows work. And this is how come nano really isn't necessary. If you know how to get into insert mode and out and exit in VI, that's it. You can manage using the arrow key, and you'll find that as your VI skills go up, you'll be using insert mode a lot less, and you'll be starting to use command mode more. In fact, it's a long-standing couplet that people will say is that the more you spend time in command mode, the more you know VI. So anyway, so we're going to go back to HJKNL. So I'm going to say that if you are unsure, if you're using arrow keys in insert mode, then you are a beginner, and that's fine. But just, practice going to command mode and doing those other things. Do I even use like B and W and all these other things for navigating around? Almost never. The only time I ever use a navigation command like that is if I want to make a very specific selection. Arrow mode is still better than nano. Exactly. Good point. All right. So here we go. If you're unsure about something, type escape. Just a note about escape. So you guys know about shifting between the modes. Don't use escape. Know it's there. But what you really should use is control left bracket and practice those pinkies, people. I have springed my pinkies from all the typing last week. I springed my pinkies because I was writing all the beginner boost RWXGG stuff. Let's see, is it Control O and you can navigate one space while in insert mode? Not sure of that one. That would not be a VI thing, so that's probably why I don't know about it, Zeros, but that's I'd like to know. Anyway, part 2, 1.2, exiting VI. So we need to go back into the other mode, and so we press escape. Okay, if I'm in insert mode, downstairs, down at the bottom, downstairs, it says insert, and then we type escape and we go back. If you have to push the escape key, fine, but get used to pressing control left bracket. Somebody told me that I said that too fast the other day and they couldn't understand what I was saying. You don't understand any of this. Well, if this is your first time here, you would have had, if you just rated, then that's a pretty basic thing. Why would you understand it? You've never seen it before. Okay, so exit VI. So :Q exclamation point is the one they teach you. I'm going to teach you that there's a lot of other ways to exit VI that are better than that. Needs 3 keys. Oh, does it? Sorry, Frank. I'm glad you brought that up because I've heard that German keyboards and some of the European keyboards control left bracket doesn't work. Does it only work on US keyboards? That is really a lot of people map escape to caps lock, and just be careful. I am almost okay with mapping escape to caps lock. And we're not gonna, with 3 keys. I would never do it if I had to press 3 keys. I would stick with the escape. And by the way, escape, most of the people that I've run into who do use escape, they hit it with this finger right here. This is not flipping you off. This is your ring finger. Most of the people I talk to who hit escape, they use escape and they're good at it, man. I'll tell you, they're good at it. And they almost never use their pinky. They always use their ring finger. Okay. A lot of people map escape to caps lock. That is fine until you're on a system where you can't do that. So I am not a fan of mapping keys to alternatives. It's like, I've even known people in command mode will map KJ typed really quickly in insert mode. The KJ if somebody types KJ in insert mode, they map that to escape. And not a fan, seriously not a fan of that. Because as I said when we started, what is the whole point of using VI is being productive on any system. So as soon as you map command caps lock and you break into a system and you're being timed because the feds are going to catch you or something, you're against the clock. What are you going to do? You're not going to have your caps lock. You're going to hit it like 10 times because you don't know, your fingers don't know what to type. So I don't know if I would look. Can I just? I'm gonna make a case. I make a case to make sure you press escape, particularly. But I am a big Control F bracket guy, and frankly, now that my pinkies are kind of sore, and I found out about the ring key thing, I might actually start trying to use. I might try to start using my my ring finger on escape, unless you're on a Power Mac made in 2019. I mean, not a Power Mac. That's not a thing. MacBook Pros. There's no such thing as Power Mac. People laugh at me when I say Power Mac. That was from my day. So a MacBook Pro does not have an escape key. They added it back, thank God. So we spent 10 minutes talking about the escape key. Just use escape. I mean, just use escape. You know what? I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try to do escape myself more often now. I'm gonna try to get good at escape. You gotta get good with escape as well, because I want to, control the bracket to avoid the feds. Use control the bracket to avoid. Yeah, just get good with the escape key. Apple Y, I know, it's so crazy. Not even ergonomic for VI. I like JJ, but I never use it. Yeah, some people do that. The escape key. Well, whatever you do, when you're hitting that escape key, do whatever. Make sure that it's ergonomic. And I want to tell you something. This is what I'm doing when I'm doing control. When I do control, what it does is it cramps my pinky because it has to get to the control. And I got to tell you, I'm going to start doing escape because it's an extension of my ring finger instead of cramping my pinky. So I'm starting to feel it when I type like for 8 hours straight at maximum warp. You know, like when I'm writing for RWXGG, I tell you what, my left pinky has started to get sore, and I've always said that I did control F bracket as a better ergonomic option, but I'm actually going to try for a while. I'm going to try to do escape because you know why? Because escape is kind of like a break. And you know, if you're doing it right, I can hit escape with my left key, and it's also up by the tilde. And I'm gonna try to do my ring finger. So I'm gonna give that a shot for a while. I don't intend to remap any characters at all because that makes me useless on a system that doesn't have my mappings, which is pretty much every system. Exiting Vim. Make him change his mind. No, I'm not gonna use the word keyboard. I know a lot of people use word keyboards. I don't, and that's not my thing. And it's fine if you do. So escaping. Okay, so the first thing you need to do right now is you need to add right next to this a bunch of other things. So you can do this. You can do Shift ZZ or ZQ. Okay, so this is the same as this. So escape ZQ. So ESC is the same. So actually you can do that if you left shift with your, if you right shift with your pinky and you go ZQ with your other pinky, you're out. Okay. And so there you go. I keep doing VimTutor over it and I think it's throwing out my file. Where is it actually? I think it is throwing out my file. Where is it throwing my file out? Where is this file at anyway? Oh, it's random. It's still that random file. It's making a new one every time. Okay. Anyway, we haven't got. We got to go faster through here. Pronation must be painful. It's not that bad. This Mac keyboard is so fast. I mean, it is so wicked fast for me. So just know that to exit ZQ is the same if you prefer that. Yeah, we're just on the easy stuff. VimTutor enter. Get here by executing VimTutor enter. Okay, we did that. This will discard the changes you made. That's important because sometimes you'll screw up a file because you'll hit caps lock on accident or something, and you need to abandon ship, and that's :Q exclamation point. That's the standard, or ZQ. If you have these steps memorized and are confident executing these steps, execute through 1 through 3. I want to pause for a second, and I want to seriously praise the approach of MTutor. And it says right here, when you have memorized these and are confident, move on. So the people who made VimTutor have this implicit trust that you are going to be an autodidact and you're going to take responsibility for your learning, rather than antagonistically, going against you and having you prove yourself versus some sort of challenge bot, which is fine too. But I love that they put the trust into you to do it, and it makes things simple. It's just a big text file. When you have an antagonistic learning situation, then you have to have a lot more complicated of a system to, not so, because it's you versus the system. So I just love that about this approach. Okay, so this discards the changes. We don't want that. In a few lessons, you will learn how to save the changes to a file, which we're going to do. Move the cursor down to 1.3. Deletion, X. Okay, so X, we're going to do a deletion. Move the cursor to the line marked below. Here we go. And it says to fix the errors, move the cursor until one is on top of the character and delete it. To move across to see, I'll let my key thing. Now we'll push X to delete. I'm just going over here. X to delete, X to delete, X to delete, X to delete, X to delete. Use X all the time. Very important. And oops, I did too many. So anyway, okay, so now that the line is correct, go to lesson 1.4. X is a really common thing to use. You can use like 2x and stuff to delete two things. Inserting. So I is the standard insert command. So we're going to go down to here. It says, at each error is fixed, press escape to return to normal mode. This text is missing something. This is I. Oops, let me do it again. All right. So I, see, I used a space there. Some text. Watch, I'm going to use the arrows, guys. I'm not using escape. I'm going to cheat. So rather than using escape in command mode, if you're a noob, you can use arrows right now. See my arrows? And I can go over to here and I can type S and I'm just fine. And I type I. And I can say from arrow, arrow, arrow. So that is, so I didn't leave insert mode at all. Okay. So in that sense, I'm going to go, my fingers automatically save stuff. So I just do that by default. I apologize. It's a habit I have built in. When you are comfortably inserting, go to the next one. Okay, let's go down here. Press A to append. So capital A, by the way. Why is it capital A and not lowercase a? Do you guys know the difference? By the way, while we're at I, capital I will insert, but it will insert at the beginning of the line. So capital I jumps to the beginning of the line and does insert mode. So I like, just because of the mnemonic value of I thought I might mention that right there. All right, so you go down to text editing A, append mode. Press A and type in the necessary additions. As the text has been appended, press escape. Move the cursor to the second line. Oh, wow. Thanks for the raid, Zero. Ash Fox. So move the cursor to the second line marked. Guys, welcome raiders. Welcome indeed. I'm doing some VI and I got to get through it. So we're only on lesson 1, so I'm screaming through this. Pull up your terminal and open up VimTutor, and if you want to follow along. So as the text has been appended, press escape to return to normal mode. So it's telling you to add some text on here. Okay, so I'm going to go up here. And what do I press? So I'm going to press, now this is misleading because watch, if I push lowercase a right here, it will add something right here. So lowercase a appends to the current location, and but if you do capital A appends to the end of the line. Very important command. Use it constantly. This line, okay? And then here's, watch this. Again, if I want to cheat and not use escape, I can push the arrow keys, guys. I'm cheating. I'm totally cheating, but I'm showing you that you can cheat here and not have a problem. You can save yourself some time using good command mode and stuff. I mean, it's actually less keystrokes to use the arrow keys in insert mode. So, and again, arrow keys are better than nano, but command mode is better than arrow keys over time. So just don't sweat it. So we're going to push escape to go back, and I'm actually pushing escape this time, and I'm going back down here. Oh, WQ to save a file and exit. Not my favorite. This is actually one of the biggest fails in the whole thing. So WQ, not only is it hard to remember, I always do QW and do it in the wrong order because :Q exclamation point is to exit without saving, right? :WQ will exit another, and you know what else you can do? Or :X. So they miss all of the options that you can do this. You can always use control. You cannot use control C. That is such a, do not do control C, people. That is not true. You need to kappa your trolling, please. So Shift ZZ is way faster. So ZZ and you're done. And I usually, cue ZZ top video. I almost always play a ZZ top video at that moment. Did it make me a new Vim tutor? I must have like 10 of them at this point. Please tell me I didn't delete my Vim tutor. It did. God damn it. I'm just going to change the Vim tutor file and make it produce a different one. So, because I've been saving them, but it's been saving them in some weird space. So I have to go through and do the whole thing again. All right. So, hopefully you're changing yours up and stuff. X to delete, we did that. Again, I'm just spamming I or J to go down. We already did that. Text editing, appending, we did that. Editing a file, WQ to save the file, which we did. The problem is that we didn't save it really well. So, or ZZ, or :X. Any of those will work. And did I just turn my caps lock? Nope. Okay, just checking. No, before executing that step, read the entire lesson. Make sure you read this lesson. Exit this tutor as you did in blah. After the shell prompt, type vim space tutor enter, which is going to make a file called tutor. And then vim is the command to start the vim editor. Tutor is the name of the file you wish to edit. Use a file that may be changed. Insert and delete text as you would learn in the previous lessons. Save the file with changes and then exit with :DQ or ZZ or :X. Okay. So those are all the options. If you have Vim tutor in step 1, restart the Vim tutor and move down to the following. Quit Vim tutor and move down to the following. After reading the steps above and understand it, do it. All right. So it says we're going to exit. So we're going to exit without saving. I'm just going to exit and save. I don't care. So ZZ to exit and save. We're going to make a file called tutor. I don't want to type Vim tutor. I don't type Vim for anything because it's one stupid extra keystroke. I don't need VI tutor. All right, so we're doing their thing, and then we're going to enter that, and now we have this, and we can push I and put something or whatever, and then escape, and then Shift ZZ, and now I'm out. And now I can do Vim tutor again, and it's going to take me back, and I'm going to search. I'm cheating. I'm searching for WQ. And see if I can find it. Yep, there it goes. See what I did there? You're going to start doing that a lot. When you get really good with VI, almost the first thing you do when you open a file is a search, and you'll remember, you'll kind of zone out from the file itself, and you'll cognitively find the place you need to go, and then you'll search and it'll jump you right to the place. And I got to tell you, that is way effective. In fact, getting this search centricity built into your brain is really powerful in most things that you're doing. Because it helps you jump to where the things are. So anyway, at the shell prompt, type this Vim tutor. We did that. We did this whole lesson, so we're going on to the next thing. No page up, page down. No, I never use a page up and page down. I don't want my fingers to leave the home row. It's not page up and page down might be supported, but it is not standard VI. So once again, I like learning standard VI. I don't like learning the Vimisms that a system might not have. And we talked about that in the very beginning. Okay, so summary. The cursor is moving using either the arrow keys or the HJK and L. And so, man, that sounds like that was a change. That's been changed in the Vim tutor. That wasn't there before. That means they accepted a change. Maybe I can commit a change. And so then to start Vim from the shell prompt, type Vim file name, enter, exit using :Q exclamation point, or what? Or what, guys? Or ZQ. Or ZQ. You can do ZQ here. There's a tab in there. And trash all the changes. Or you can use WQ, ZQ, or... Man, they put tabs in here? Yep, they did. What a horribly bad tutorial. This is so bad. I really want to change this. I'm going to make my own. This is just disastrously bad. Sorry. I can't resist. Don't do Control F or Control B. Yeah, nope. Watch. You know why? Watch what happens. NVI readme. I mean, I'm telling you not to. You can do whatever you want. I'm telling you don't. So why? Watch. Control F. Oh, I stand corrected. Control F or Control B. Frank, that's original VI functionality that I did not know about, or I'd forgotten about, probably more like. So that's page up, page down, right? Yeah, still not a fan. That kills my fingers. I'd rather just camp on H and J or J and K. That's standard VI behavior. How did I check it, by the way, guys? What did I do? Can I encourage you to do this? So if you care about learning the original VI bindings and having your fingers memorize things that are supported in all VI from the dawn of time, and not learning Vimisms, at least at first, can I suggest what I just did? So, :Q exclamation point. You can install a program called NVI, which is not NeoVim. It's the opposite. It is like absolute bare bones VI. And if something works in NVI, it will work in VI anywhere. If it does not work, such as visual mode, which we're going to get to, it won't work everywhere. And this is another reason I don't like VimTutor. VimTutor doesn't tell you the stuff that doesn't work with regular VI. It doesn't call it out. And it at least needs to responsibly tell you this isn't going to work in VI, but it works for Vim. And that kind of triggers me. So so let's go back here. So we're doing we're still in lesson 1. We got to go faster here. Deletion commands, DW delete order. I do this constantly. So this is something that I really do a lot of. So DW, DW, DW. I do DW and CW probably more than almost any of the other commands. Because usually when you're changing something, you want to change just 1 or 2 words. D also cuts. Yeah, well, here's another one that they don't cover. So if you want to delete to the end of the line, capital D. They don't cover it at all. Capital D deletes to the end of the line. All right, so write that down in your notes, people. I'm going to make a sheet on it, but do that. In fact, speaking of sheets, let me just take a moment to show you the one that I think I still have around somewhere. Sheet. Is it Vim dot? I want to say it's RVX. I can't remember where this is. It's been so long. Nope, that's not it. I have a cheat sheet out there somewhere. I just can't find it. But DuckDuckGo also has one. So this the Vim cheat sheet here. This is a good one. Actually, if you search for Vim in DuckDuckGo, Vim has one built. DuckDuckGo has one built in. So you see this Vim cheat sheet in DuckDuckGo has a built-in cheat sheet, and you can go to Vim cheat sheets, and this shows you. This is much better than mine. So it doesn't cover all of the stuff though. Where is D? Editing, cut and paste, exiting. Yeah, it just drives me crazy. There it is. Delete to the end of the line. So this does have it good. Delete, cut to the end of the line, $. They teach that here. So Vim, this if you want the actual site, this is the best site for commands, and you're going to be looking them up a lot when you first start. It's just part of the game. So there's that. Make sure you save that. There is that. It's actually VI dollars. That is also there. It's either VI or Vim will work for that. I have a redirect. It's actually VI, but Vim will redirect if you happen to type that in instead. But this one, I actually need to put a link to that in the main page, so remember that. Anyway, back to what we were doing. So deletion commands, DW, big deal. It says type DW to make a word disappear. Okay, the letter D will appear on the last line of your screen. There are some words, fun, that don't belong paper in this sentence. All right, DW. Delete in the sentence. Okay, did that. Repeat step 3 until the sentence is correct. Go to less than 2.2. Okay. Delete more commands. D dollar. Or, and I don't know why they didn't put this one. Why do they fucking tabs? Reduces arrow usage. For append? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I use A for everything. Yeah, that A, capital A in particular, I use that a lot. A will put something at the end of the line. Capital A will put something at the end of the line. Something important. People actually have this question. They ask me this question all the time. So let's talk about A. This is a real. They don't talk about this in the tutorial. When you go to the end of the line, somebody tells me all the time, I want to add something after the period. Do I use I or do I use A? Trick question. If you go to the end of the line and you want to add new stuff to the end of the line, people, new VI users have this problem all the time. I want to add something to the end of the line. Okay, if I do I, what happens? If I do I, it puts it in front of the last thing. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I want to put it behind it. So A. But A puts it after the current letter, so it has to be on the last letter. So I put lowercase a and it puts it after it. If you always want to add something to the end of the line, capital A. But even more importantly than that, there's one we haven't gotten to yet, and I'm just going to tell you about it now. Most of the time, when you want to add content after the current line, you usually want to add it to a new line. And if you want to add to a new line underneath this, you can open a new line. You can type O, and that will open a new line at the beginning of the next line. Okay, so capital A for the when you want to add something to the end of a line, and capital I when you want to add insert to the beginning of the line. The problem with capital I, though, however, I'm kind of jumping around here, but the problem with capital I is that if you'll notice, it only adds to the beginning of the text of the line. Sometimes you want to add a comment or something to the beginning of the whole thing. Okay, so when I type capital I, I'm typing over here. I'm going to type capital I, and it's going to type over here. But if I want to add something to the beginning of the line, yeah, capital O is add something to the begin to add a line above the current line. Okay. Oh, I use O all the time. If I want to insert truly at the beginning of the line and not at the beginning of the first letter of the line, then it's 0 I, and then I can insert. Okay. So we're going to get to these later, but 0 puts you at the beginning. Okay. And of course, dollar takes you to the end. And so 0 is the beginning of a line, dollar is the end. And it's time for us to come up with this because that's what this dollar sign is. The dollar sign is a navigation key. It's not, so the real power of VI editing is that you combine actions with navigation. So if you want to delete 2 words, and they're going to teach us this, but if you want to delete 2 words, you do 2 DW, and it deletes 2 words. You can also interact. You can change the combination. Yeah, DGP. You can also change the combination and say, I want a D to W. W's are words. And so you get the same thing. You see what I'm saying? If I want to delete to the end of the line, D dollar. Now, I don't use this as much, but what's the command to delete to the front of the line? D0. That deletes all the stuff at the beginning of the line. I don't use that nearly as much as I should. Yeah, D0 is a great one. So if you're here and you want to chop off the first part of the sentence, D0, right? Okay, so while we're at it, if you don't want to delete it, you just want to change it, just replace D or capital D with a C or up or capital C. And instead of deleting it, it will change it. So that puts you in insert mode. It doesn't just delete it. So like that's actually more useful 9 times out of 10. So you're being like C0, whoops. That was a bad thing. So C0 will change it and put you in insert mode. and then you just escape out and you made the change. I'm gonna undo that change. That was escape U to undo, by the way, and nobody teaches it to you. You're right, they don't teach you. So you're gonna spam escape U constantly. And by the way, escape U is recursive, so you can add lots of undos if you need to. There is you can't revert the file to a specific time, no, but you can with Git. If you combine your stuff with Git, you can revert the file to the last commit, and you can of course you can always get the last version that was saved. You are in Vim Tutor, but they're just not first. I think they should have been first. Yeah, escape U and escape. I don't use redo very much. I don't use that one. You can definitely undo. Yes, I do know you can undo, but the point is I don't think they cover it early enough. CIW, yeah. Or escape is appearing as control, yeah, because that's what I'm typing. I'm typing control left bracket. So control left bracket on an American keyboard, we found out, is exactly equivalent to escape. So if you don't want to travel up for escape all the time, I've been kind of mixing the two today because I'm trying to decide if, I've been using control left bracket for 15 years. So I might go back to using escape so that our international people, like if you have a German keyboard, we found out it sucks to be, you can't do that. You have to do escape. Okay. So anyway, let's go down. So we have $, deletes to the end of the line. I don't need to tell you about this. W navigates by word. B navigates by the beginning of word. I use W a lot of times, and then I want to, actually, my favorite thing here would have been this. I would type /end and jumped to end, and then deleted it. Now they're going to have you do $, but why? When I can capital D. No, capital D. That's a fail there. Control C, really? If you can control C and VI, that just freaks me out. So, so we're gonna escape that, and now we're good to go. Let's go down to some other things here. Operators, we got to go through a lot of stuff, and we only have two. Well, we have 2 segments. We should be fine. Let's see. I had to relearn escape to control C on German keyboards. Really? See, this is really fascinating. I hope you guys will help me put together the international tutorial. I think something that's been missing from the Vim Tutor world is that all of the Vim Tutors are very American keyboard centric, and it would be really helpful to have, one tutorial that says, if you're Russian, do this. If you're, because don't see, somebody always posts Vim Adventures because they didn't hear my spiel at the beginning. You guys know what I feel about it. Just use VI to learn Vim. Don't go play some stupid game. Use VI first and then go play the game. Okay, I'm not against the game, it's fun, but learn how to use VI with VI. Don't use some kitschy stupid game to learn the actual tool. I'm not mad at you. I get that recommendation all the time, and it kind of triggers me because it takes people away from the actual learning. The whole point of this is so you know how to use VI. Use Emacs to learn VI. Let's see, operators of motion, D. D is a delete operator. We talked about that. We talked about motion. We talked about that. W is a word. Yeah, evil mode in Emacs. Yeah. So where E is to the end of the current word. I just showed you that, and we talked about this already. So I can skip this. $, to the end of the line. Just in case you're wondering, $, also represents the end of a string in regular expressions. So a lot of these things carry over. And press Control at the side of your palm. Didn't think about that. Let's see. Mechanics of using VI. I don't agree at all. If you know what else helps using the mechanics of VI? Using VI. This is Vim Tutor, yes. So here we go. Let's go down here. Yeah, Doomer mode. Thus typing DE will delete the cursor to the end of the word. I mean, why would I use a web browser to learn VI? That's the last thing I would use. Thus typing DE will delete the cursor to the end of the word. We've got this. All right. I don't use this very much, but you can do it. So DE deletes the word. You know what else deletes to the end of the word? DW. You know what else? DE is stupid. Why would you use DE? Honestly. And leave the extra space. 9 times out of 10, you want that space gone. Never use it. I use DW. DW, because why? Because it gets rid of the extra space as well. Okay. DE, just forget you ever knew it existed. You're not going to use it. There is a VI mode for Firefox. There's probably a VI mode for Doom or Overwatch too. Why don't you go activate that? Okay, so let's see. Using account for emotion. So typing a number before emotion repeats it too many times. Now, this is true. Sometimes I'll use this, but most of the time for navigation, I'm just spamming when I'm actually trying to move around. But when it comes time to, like, you know, sort of like precisely delete something, I use this all the time. So one of the things I constantly do is delete 2 words. So D2W, I showed you that, right? I want to delete 3 words, D3W. But here's another one. You can actually delete with emotions. So what if I wanted to delete just 3 characters? Delete 3L. You see that? Okay. Or let's say I wanted to change those characters. So let me escape view on that. So let's change those 3 characters. Change. We haven't got this GC yet. Change 3L. It changes the next 3 characters. Puts me in insert mode. I can put another or something, and then I can undo that. Oops, escape. Oops, I keep missing. I'm trying to do my escape. I keep missing. What if you want to delete all the words of a particular type? That's a different thing. That's like a find and replace kind of operation, which is not covered in the tutorial, but I can show it to you. Yep. What's the difference between S, C, and S? I don't know what S is, so you tell me. I use C for everything. C stands for change. Is there an S? What does S even do? Well, we just found out. S apparently deletes the current letter and puts you into insert mode. Yeah, but I never use that. I use R for that. You should use R for that. S is stupid. S is for stupid. Capital S deletes the entire line and enters insert. So does capital C. Why would I need it? Again, I've never used S, nor do I intend to. C covers that whole base. This is the thing about VI, is a lot of it is redundant, and so it's a matter of you doing the thing. Changing C is change line. So S changes the whole line. Okay, capital S change, that could be useful. I'd never use that. That could be useful. Usually when I do that kind of thing, I delete the line and then I make a new line, and then I make a new line. So, but that's useful. I can see that being useful. So I'm not gonna put that down. Maybe I'll practice trying to do a capital S more. Yeah. So we have the D. So the S is not covered in the tutorial, so that's something we would need to cover. Or a CC. Yeah, I do CC all the time. So, CC changes the current line too. I am not an S person. I think there's some overlap between the C and the S commands. Okay, so all 26 characters and some valid command might be faster, less keystrokes if you know them all. I don't buy that anymore. I used to be really into that, but I don't. I think that there is really no need to not just spam your navigation stuff and learn how to search. I think the single most important thing in VI beyond the navigation is knowing this key, the slash, because the slash takes you exactly where you want to be in every single place. Did I say I'm not an SS? I'm not an S person. I'm not an SS person. Demotion. All right. 2W. We did all this using account to delete more. We did that. 2W. I just did that. I don't need to cover that. Let's keep going. Operating on many lines. I mean, you guys want to see me do this? Let's see. Repeating steps 1 to 2 with a different count to delete the consecutive uppercase words with one command. All right. D2W. There we go. And now watch. I'm not even going to do D2W again. What am I going to use? Anybody know? What am I going to use? What am I going to use instead of D2W now that I already did it once? Anybody know? Any of our advanced VI users? Be lazy, people. Never repeat a command twice. Why would I type D2W again when I can just push dot? All right, dot again. Now I'm going to do here, dot. Okay, D1W. Done. Learn to use the dot. I don't even know if they cover the dot. It is so stinking important. It does exactly what the last commands were in command mode, whatever they were. So make sure you learn that. Put that in your notes. One is implied, yeah, which is kind of stupid of me. I was just being... So DD deletes the whole line. You do this all the time. You're cleaning a line out. Never seen the dot before. Is that not a commentary on how bad this is if it doesn't cover it? Dot is... I use dot all the time. Dot and N and search. So yeah. Spotted the Emacs user. Right. That due to the frequency of the whole line deletion, the designer of VI decided it would be easier to simply type 2Ds. Okay. Move the cursor to where you want to delete 2 lines. Which lines are we going to delete here? Type 2DD and delete 2 lines. 2DD. Yay, we did it. All right. Nano Master Race. The undo command. Press U to undo the last command. We've been doing this the whole time. They probably should have put that in the very first section, but they didn't. So now you know it. This is something though that I read about in the tutorial and I have started to use more lately. This is actually a really big deal. So let's say you're on a big long line, okay, and you're like blah 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 blah, and then you're like, and then you use command mode, and then you go over here and you blah 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 blah, right, and you go command mode blah 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 blah, right. Watch what Control U does if I remember right. Capital U. You see that? Did you see what it just did? I can't tell you how huge that is. So I actually did not use capital U for a very long time. This is like this year I've started to use it more. So particularly when you're doing markdown, when you're doing modern markdown writing, you're making paragraphs of one big, huge, long line because you want the word wrap to work properly and not screw you up. And we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. But the point I'm trying to make is, let's say you'd make a lot of individual command line edits. You go to escape and insert, and you make a ton of edits to a single line. VI remembers every change to that line. And if you control capital U, escape capital U, it will undo every change to that line. So somebody was talking about reverting back to a previous version for a given line. That is the closest thing to it. And I think it's really valuable. I have not used that as much as I would like to have in my career. And that's the way VI is. There's always more efficiency to add someplace. Another thing too, so like this, if you type X here and then X here and then X here, and you want to undo every one of those changes, you could, rather than doing escape U, you could just do escape capital U and it undoes all of those changes, which is super cool. Okay, so 2.7, how are we doing? I got about a minute and a half left. I'm going to get down to, I got to at least get to 3. So DW, DD, D dollar, you know all about those. Remember capital D, they don't cover capital D, which annoys me. Capital D deletes to the end of the line. Let's see, prepending, you can do all that. You can do, so that's just telling you how to combine things. The put command, I never use well, that's not fair. I use P all the time after I've copied something. So the put command P is usually after you've yanked or deleted something. So they haven't talked about yank yet, but they have talked about delete. So I delete this line, DD, right? And now I want to put it somewhere else, P, all right? DD, P. Okay, yank tank. Yep, you can do yank. Yank is cut. And once you learn registers, a put command becomes delicious. This is true. I have never mastered registers, nor do I feel the need to learn them. But I probably would benefit from spending some time to learn them. I've known about registers. Have been in the original VI. Registers are ways for you to yank things into. You can have multiple cut and paste buffers. So the problem is you have to remember them all. Tashinsky, what is the thing that shows you all your registers? There's a vim command that shows you the content of all your registers. Do you know it? I don't ever use it. I probably need to learn that. GD and GD. I don't know. Is it reg? Yeah, I need to get better at that. So this shows me all my registers down here, all the things that I cut and paste. And so you can actually paste from a given register with the number, I think, right? Yeah, thank you. That's worth doing this day all by itself. So if I remember right, I should be able to paste a register. And what is it? Is it P? Is it 1P? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is something I've never truly mastered, and I'm really glad we're talking about it. I'm selfishly talking about this myself. I've been wanting to add registers to my plate for years. It's funny, I was talking to Primagian, and he was like doing relative line numbers, and he was just giving it a try, and he'd been doing it for a long time too. So there's always more for you to try and tweak and everything. And for me, that's registers. I think registers are way powerful. It's like multiple cut and paste buffers built into VI. I tend to use tmux for my cutting and pasting because I'm usually cutting and pasting not in the same file, but between files. Almost always I'm cutting and pasting between files. Do the registries persist, by the way, across the versions of VI? I think they do, right? I think Viminfo saves them. Is that true? Do you know if that's true? Let me go try. Let's try this. So, colon reg. Oh, it looks like there's a register. It looks like there's a register for every individual file and not across file systems. As Control R is insert mode with registers a lot. Yeah. Get messy when you're using multiple instances of Vim, local server, and true. Yeah, I tend to do all of my cutting and pasting using tmux. So this is me using a tmux cut and paste, right? So it uses VI bindings. And I find my stuff here, and then I go back into another world, and then I do my insert, and then I do Control A bracket, and it just pastes it. So I don't use the registers for VI because 9 times out of 10 I want to copy stuff from a pane in tmux and not within a single register of my system. And I have been using that for cutting and pasting everything. So I don't use registers in VI because they're redundant and they only apply to this file using this VI, or SCP, right? So my way of doing that is to use either the system clipboard, IMFlex, yeah, I use the system clipboard a lot too, and XClip. I don't depend on Vim registries very much because usually when I'm cutting and pasting, it's not between 10 different areas. I will say this: if you were working on a project that had a lot of macros, I actually want to learn macros a little bit better because sometimes like writing a quick little macro and then repeating it 10 times when you're writing could be a useful thing. And people ask me about my desktop manager too, and I'm like, I don't care. I use tmux, right? Because I use tmux for my cutting and pasting. But otherwise, I've often wanted to use them. But if I were going to blame something, it would be my use of tmux extensively has stopped me from really needing registers. So here we go. We have the p command. So yank p, do it all the time. P. You can just it'll keep pasting the last one. You can also do like 10p, and it'll type all 10p, all 10 of them. I could do, what else could I do there? I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. Let's move on. I got to take a break here for 10 minutes. Are we on to section 3? I'll leave section 3 because replace is a pretty big deal. I use R all of the time. I think Herschel with X. I use R constantly. So that's one we'll get into. Can anyone help with going to the global definition of a function in VM? Oh, you're talking about function definitions? I don't use them with GED. I don't use those, but we could talk about that. You guys can talk about that. I'm going to take another 10-minute break, and we're going to finish all of the Vim tutor in the last segment. So at 1:10, we're going to be screaming through this, and we're going to finish the whole Vim tutor, and I'll give you some of my inputs on that. I'll catch you in a bit. I'll put the fishies on because the fishies are nice and happy. Okay, there's the fish. See you in a few. eating the chicken. I'm not eating the chicken. Oh, here we are. We're back. Fish is greater than seashell. Slash ban. Slash ban. Fish ban. Fish on my computer. You just saw fish on my computer. In fact, I made a comment about it. ASCII Aquarium. You're like, what is VIC? This is what VIC is. Do you want a copy? Here's your copy. Your own copy of VIC. You can put it in your shell script. Type VIC. Eeks. Virtual machine is dying. Yeah. Marked on notes looking beautiful. Nice. When they render, did you guys appreciate the markdown stuff early on in the session? I think we did that like the second or third day. I think I'm going to keep that really, really early on so that people can take those notes rather than throwing them on the terminal and then teaching them that. So you guys like that? All right, I'm going to keep that as the first thing. I was thinking about making like the third thing and then teaching you terminal first. Okay. All right. So I'm really glad I showed you that really early on. I think we covered the notes thing, the GitLab IDE and the Vim plugin. Yep. Did you find a GitLab IDE Vim plugin? Did you find a Vim plugin for the GitLab IDE? Are you talking about the general one? Great for notes. Okay. I don't have an IRC. I actually wish I did. You can connect to my IRC logs. If you connect to the Twitch IRC channel, you can come in here and just join our IRC channel directly. And then you don't need to use Twitch. Twitch uses IRC. So that's what this is. This is my Twitch channel. In fact, you can join, what's wrong with Vim Fugitive? Well, I've never used it. Okay, so you're going to make me search for it. What is Vim Fugitive? Should we find out? Also, Vim Fugitive, also called Fugitive, is a Git wrapper written as a plugin for the Vim text editor. It's originally developed by Tim Pope. Well, he's good. Huh, I'm going to have to read about this. No Markdown with GitLab IDE and MD and Vim plugin. Interesting. As an example of Fugitives.vim's Git G blame feature. I have to look at that. Never used it. Git wrapper written for the plugin for the Vim text editor was originally by Tim Pope. For the file plugin, the initial commit to the Git repository of the project was made on blah. 3 plugins, some package, a bunch of package. Featured on the website. Where is the website? I don't see the website. Let's go search for that. Vim tutorial with Fugitive. They're so awesome it should be illegal. I'm intrigued. I'm not gonna lie to you, Fugitive may be one of the best game wrapper of all time. Check out these features. You blob tree commit, change history, get it. This is awesome. You know what? Thank you for mentioning it, Blodasar. I think we need to add a Git segment, and I haven't had a Git segment. Tell you the truth, if you watched my video last night, I suck at Git. I know Git enough to make a repo. I know how to branch, I know how to do that stuff and tag and everything, but I don't use it regularly. And we're going to need to start because more and more people are starting to contribute to RWXGG content and stuff. And so I'm going to need to start doing branching and merging and all that jazz. And so my use of Git's going to increase. The reason I usually downplay Git in general is because I'm usually dealing with beginners, and Git is a massive, massive hurdle for most young beginners. We're talking about people around 16 or younger. Is it Vim VI POSIX compliant? Yeah, I don't know. Can look at Cloak. It depends on IRC server. Let's get good. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm intrigued by this. So I'm going to take a note of this. Maybe we'll add it to our Get interactive rebase changed my life. Yeah. See, I need to do interactive rebase. Honestly, please, guys, you know what? Can I make a personal request for help, because I've asked how to help before? What I really need is I need somebody to really give us the resources needed for Git. There's an empty Git channel that I just added yesterday in the Discord, and I really need people to send us the best possible Git resources for the most people, so that I can start curating through the resources for how to learn Git, because I really, really want to get good. I do, and I want everybody else to get good. And I've had people like shame me for not using branching properly, and they're probably right, honestly. I just use master branch, but these days I've been like destroying people with so many commits to the master branch that are getting notified to them, and I know that over the wire requires you to know Git pretty well. So there's lots of reasons to do Git. I know this is a VI segment, but I just want to say that. So back to the topic. We're going to go jam through sections or parts 3 through 7 of the Vim tutor, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I have two. Yeah, man pages are a start. Stash, yep, stash is a good thing. Basically, I want to know what the minimum survival techniques are with Git, and that includes Git squash, merge squash, which is really great for getting rid of all that commit history. Like if you've made several working commits and you want them to get squashed. Found out about that yesterday. I was planning on using that. Yeah, please list them here. If you want to take a moment to list them in the Discord as well, I really appreciate it, because it's more persistent. But I have RC, so I can go back and look at that too. Yeah, lots of stuff. We're back to VI. Okay, so thank you for the recommendation there. So here we are. We're on replace command. So replace is just R all the things. R, OT, RIT, and it doesn't even go into insert mode, which is why I love R. Capital R, what does that do? The replace operator. You see what it does? And you can do that stuff. So the replace, capital R, they don't talk about it, but capital R puts you into replace mode for all the things, and it will just blow away whatever's already there. Is it in chapter 6? Okay, I'm sorry. So the lowercase r is used. I use it all the time. It's particularly when you just want to change one typo, one word, or something like that. So we're going to go up here, /wrong, and I'm going to go over here, rn. There we go. You probably didn't see that, but let's go back to TOE, and then we're gonna do replace Y, replace P, replace N. Anyway, you got this one. The change operator. I use the change operator all the time. Change operator is probably the one I use more than any of the others to enter insert mode. I very, very rarely use I to enter insert mode. I almost always use C. So that's cool. So C just changes whatever you're on, and then use the navigation command. So for example, this line, so C, let's do CW line. Has a few words, CW words. I mean, I use this all the time. That CW need, changing using CW ing change operator. All right. If you want to change the whole line, they don't talk about this, but capital C, blah, 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 blah. I don't even know why you would use Control R, capital R, because Control C does a better job. Gets rid of this stuff. Is there a Vim code pretty fire? Yeah, it's built into everything. Thanks for the resources. So it's built into everything. So most code will prettify itself, but usually there's a plugin for it. Otherwise, it's already in. And you don't need to. Most of the prettify. I mean, you see me editing README files all the time, right? So this stuff, the prettification or all this stuff, is being done by the plugin, the Vim plugin for Pandoc. And so yeah, so most, yes, the answer is yes, but you usually have to have a thing for that. Okay, Git workflow, nice. If you've written any documentation, I'd love to add it. If you want to write the Git section for RWXGG, I would love to put you as a contributor. So yeah, let's talk about that in the Git channel on Discord. We need to create some Git content, and I don't know it, so I'm going to rely on people that have better handle on it. Shift bang bang, didn't know that. So again, it is pretty cool. Have you ever covered dot? We haven't covered dot yet, and I'm hoping it's covered here. Dot is the thing that does whatever the last change was. Whatever the last change was is dot. All right, so I'm going to the bottom here. More changes using C. C, yeah, so you can change 2 words. I use this a lot when I want to change just a little bit of a line. So let's say I want to change just the first part of a line. I would say change 4 left, and then it will change just those 4 characters. I can say corrected, and then it will do it. So that's C. This is not a live wallpaper. This is just a plain old animated movie at full screen in front of behind a transparent terminal, Alacritty terminal. That's all it is. I think dot is probably the most common key I press using VI besides navigation keys. That and N and capital N for navigation, and we're going to talk about those in a second. All right, so here we go. Lesson 3. I think we already passed it. So locating your cursor. I never ever use this stuff. I can't even remember it. Hold down Control key and press G. I don't ever use that. You know why? Because I have this on. If you have that on and you have, so here we go. If I don't ever use that stuff, because why? Because I know what line number I'm on, and down here, yes, you can repeat with numbers, yes. And down here, it tells me the exact position I am in the file. And then down here, it tells me what's going on in terms of how many characters, how big the file is. I never use Control L or Control G. However, I'm not saying don't use it, because if you're on a system that doesn't have Vim, that's all you got. In fact, if you where's our system? I actually have one of those. Yeah, the dot is insanely powerful. Probably the most powerful thing. Yeah, set relative number. A lot of people like that. I turned it off, as I said, because let me just do that, guys. So set rel new. Is it what? I'm using the short case RE and U. I think maybe it's just RE. Set RE. Nope. Set RE. Oh, relative number. There we go. So relative number, just so you know what these guys are talking about, does this. RNU, that's right. Okay, thanks. This is nice, but it's not good for streaming and it's not good for presenting. And the reason for that is because I can't say it's on line 500. They're like, what's line 500? They can't see it. So I have to go to line 500 to see it. But if you're trying to do cutting and pasting and stuff like that, so I actually used this for a solid year before I decided to throw it away. And it was actually when I started streaming that I got rid of it. So yeah, I am kind of ambivalent on it. I don't have no relative. Let's see. Yeah, I'm tabbing, by the way, to get all those different things. So I'm not a plus 20 YY. A lot of people do that. They'll do a plus 20. I don't. I am really a line number guy. So I will look at the line number and I will say, we don't know about this yet, but if I want to delete this paragraph, obviously I would just use D, 3DD, or I would do D bracket or whatever. But if I wanted to delete all the way down to 504, I would do this. I would do D. Wait, let me get my key thing to clear. So I would do D colon, oops. So let me clear that. So D colon 505. Boom. You see what it just did? So that is my favorite. A lot of people don't know also that just colon and the line number navigates to the line number. So if I want to go to 490, colon 490, enter. Very common not to know how to do that. If I want to go to line 10, colon 10, go to line 10, colon like 500, go to line 500. It's the fastest way to get there. You can also do that by doing 500G will do the same thing. But yeah, so moves the current line. Oh, really? I don't know about that one. I didn't know about that one. That's a cool X command. I'll have to think about that. An advanced topic. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So where are we, by the way? I think we jumped past the section 3. Let's go through it. So section 3, cursor location and file status. Don't do that at all. Help is important. You do need to know help. It's really hard to navigate help. :help for beginners. Beginners have a hard time navigating this. But if you should really learn help. It's not very good, but it's definitive. I mean, this is, if you want to learn about anything, this is what you do. You look for stuff like this, that's between the bars, and then you press Control right. What is that? Right bracket, and you can navigate to it. So you control right bracket, and then it will jump around. So don't omit. I put this in the resources list. Make sure that sometime you do a :help at some point in your life and go through and just read about all of the documentation for VI. This is the #1 way people document particular tools. So like if you wanted to learn about Plug, which is the plugin manager that I use, which you really should not use any other one. It is so phenomenally good. Help Plug. And that'll show you all of the information about the plug command. So yeah, RTFM. If you're going to RTFM in Vim, you need to know :help, because all of the Vim plugins and everything that's been ever installed into Vim uses the help system. So it's kind of quirky being able to navigate and stuff like that, and it doesn't always display properly, and it's usually written by, technical people, but it's still the man page, so that's like the place to go get that. Better than ManVim? That's a good question. I think it is. I think it's much more complete. And you're not going to find a man page for a Vim plugin, right? So like, for example, if I want to get help on my plugin that helps me with Go programming, it's called Vim-Go. I can go get that if it exists. Apparently it doesn't. Anna, is there no help on that? Well, that's funny. Help Go. Go to and go. No, I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, so you'll find out some very esoteric things in here. VM snapshots. Before, I found that VM Player does not support snapshots. Player does not support snapshots. That I knew. VirtualBox does. That's a good point. Yeah, the VMware itself, but not the player. Yeah. Also Docker. So, with Vim Plugin Manager, I recommend Plug. Hands down. And if you guys are advanced, we're not going to make it through it today, but so let me show you why. This is a little bit of an advanced topic, but I'm just going to spend like 1 minute on this for my advanced people who are learning about Vim. So this is why you want. Can I seriously suggest you take a peek at this? At least if you don't like it, at least you understand it. Down here. So I'm finding my plug. All right. This line right here will download and install the plugin manager and all of your plugins automatically by just copying this file, this vimrc file, over to another system and editing your file for the first time. So I really suggest you understand what's going on there if you're advanced and you're trying to consider how to use a plugin manager. You cannot do that with Pathogen, Bundle, or any of the other ones. Plug is hands down the leader these days. I actually stole that code that does the automatic plugin manager downloading. One of the most annoying parts about any plugin system is that when you save it in your dot files, you're sort of compelled to keep a bunch of extra stuff in your dot files. And in this case, the only thing you have to save in your dot files is your vimrc and maybe your spelling dictionary. That's it. Which means that you can copy your vimrc to any system and automatically get all your plugins with just starting VI or Vim. And I just got to tell you, it is like really, really awesome. I'm super happy. I have to plug that because somebody finally did Plugin Manager right. It used to always annoy me that the plugin repos, Git repos, were saved in the same directory as the .vim directory, and it would get saved and it would be in my Git dot files and it would pollute it, and it would show up as a submodule, and I'd have to do, submodule init, blah, 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 with Git, and it's totally annoying. and Plug has finally mastered that. They've gotten around doing all of that stuff. So yeah, if you, that's for our pro Vimmers out there. I think you'll really like that. That's not original. It's something I found from somebody else. That's only when you move it. Okay. Let's see. There's so much to learn in plain Vim. Plugins will distract you. It will. So I don't want you to jump into the plugin world. And tomorrow, by the way, we are going to go through my VimRC, and we're going to talk about everything in it as best I can. Some of it I don't remember, but we'll try to go through, and you can we'll create a VimRC from scratch. With at least the basics in it, and it's part of the rite of passage for you to start your own VimRC and create that. So, and we're also going to create we already created a .files repo some weeks back. So I'm going to expect you to already have created a .files repo someplace, on GitHub, GitLab. I suggest GitLab, and have brought that down to your system, because we're going to symlink your VimRC file to this system, and then start customizing your Vim. Okay. Yeah, I am a big Markdown plugin dependent. I have a big dependency on the Markdown plugin. Control G, so let's do these. These are important. So GG goes to the top of the file. Capital G goes to the bottom of the file. GG, capital G. GG, capital G. I sometimes do 0G, which takes you there as well. It's supposed to anyway. What happened? 0G. You can always do :0 as well. That takes you to the top. It's :0 takes you to the top. :100, 200 takes you to the top. G is a big one though. I use capital G all the time for navigating. What do you think of setting both for line numbers? I don't use I don't use our relative numbers personally. I just explained that just now, but I'm not a colon exclamation point. That just runs a command. Why would I do that? That just runs a shell. So I do colon. I do. Oh, you can do :1. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This. Yeah, you did a typo. I was gonna say that actually does. I do that all the time, by the way. So this is also not covered in the tutorial. So if you do colon exclamation point, you can run anything from here. So if you do bash, it'll run a shell. Now there's a faster way to do that. So if you want to get a shell while you're editing a file and you don't want to open a new pane with tmux, which is way easier. If you don't want to do that and you want a new shell and you don't want to leave your code, you can do :shell, and that will take you to a new shell. And you type exit and it'll take you back. So sometimes people do that. I don't use that a lot. We got to get through a lot of stuff here in 30 minutes. So I'm going to scream through this. Okay. What else is covered? Copying and pasting text. We did capital R. Okay. This is really in just a horrible order too. Can I just say, there's the exclamation points there. Good job. They are covered. Magic wands are covered. They're just not understood. If you set number and RNU, the global line number displays is displayed in the cursor line. Good for streaming. The rest relative. Good for commands. Maybe. I almost am convinced. I would rather just have the line numbers. So, because I say to people between line 580 and 590, particularly when I'm recommending. Another thing too is I work with a lot of beginners, and so when they are on Discord and they're streaming, if they have relative line numbers on, I can't communicate with them. I can't say copy from line 400 to 400 plus 10. But if I say, if you consider taking lines between, someplace between line 584 and 595 is an error with this thing. So at least for beginners, I don't do relative, but I'm not against it. And there's a lot of, I told you I ran it for a year. But yeah, but when I'm talking to a beginner, it's more having the specificity is nicer. The one place it gets really annoying is if you get over 1,000 line numbers, then it gets super annoying. But technically you shouldn't have that many lines in your files most of the time these days. GG and G, we did that. Control O takes you back to the older position. Control I, not a fan. However, this here, / and question mark are also my top 10 commands. Top 10 commands. Top 10. Why? Because I can open this file up. Let's see. I can go to lesson 4, right? So let's say I open it back up. I'm at the top, and I want to go to lesson 4. / lesson 4. Boom. Boom. So when I see people complain all the time about, and this is another reason not to use Nano. To do that, you can do a find like that, but most of the time you're like spamming arrow keys and stuff and page down. You should be getting to the point where you're using slash all the time. I don't, you know why I don't, just let me tell you why I don't use the question mark. Okay. Some people do use the question mark. Question mark just goes up. All right. And so you go up, you know, like lesson 3, right? The reason I don't care about that is because if I keep going N, it'll wrap around. So I just use slash. Slash is the only thing I remember. So lesson 4, and it goes to that one. I go to lesson 4, it goes to the next one, N, to find all the next ones. And it'll wrap all the way around. See what it does? It wraps automatically. And by the way, if I want to go in reverse, I just capitalize N and it goes up. So I don't bother to remember the question mark. It's nice, but I don't use it. Shift N to go up. Yep, so Shift N goes up. It loops around upwise, and this one goes downwise. I use N all the time. In fact, one of my most common combinations is N and dot. So check how powerful this is. Let's say I want to change every word we to us or something. I don't know. Let's say let's change every the word. We're going to change. So I'm searching for the word the, and I want to touch it to these. All right. So CW, these, right? And then what do? Escape. Now check this, dude. Find the next the, N, and repeat these, enter. No, I mean, that is powerful. What Lakshan's talking about is powerful, but it doesn't give you the chance to validate it. Maybe I don't want to change them all. So I'm going to go find the next one. Oh, that one's the one I want to keep. Period. And oh yeah, I want to change that one. Period. Ooh, I want to change that one. Yes. Ooh, I want to change that one. I want to change that one. I want to change that one. You see the power of combining N and dot? If you know those two things, why does N dot repeat the N? Yeah. So I'm going down here. I'm going to go look at some. So N, it replaces it, and it keeps replacing it. So about 4 seconds to find a text at the end when I started from the start. Well, yeah, it depends. You can use at the top of a word if you want to change. Yeah. GC for an equivalent. Slash GC for an equivalent since he's picking. Yeah. Well, so that is the main reason is that I want to see every one. I want to feel, right about it. This is also the reason that, commenting a line, people tell me all the different ways to select and comment a line. You know what else selects and comment a line? 0, insert, like comments, right? Then I go down and then repeat, down and repeat. Well, not that one. But if I wanted to comment everything that was on the beginning of a line, I do I, and then I do comment, and then I do down, and I do dot. And so that's just me, so a lot of times, this is why I don't use visual mode, because I'm just as happy spamming to do my stuff. And if I wanted something more precise, I would use one of the other commands that we haven't talked about. And I'd have to really undo all of that. But if I wanted to literally, comment out every line here, I'd have to use a more powerful command, let's change let's comment out every line. So let's do, oh gosh, I don't know. Let's do, colon, I'm not going to do X commands right now. But so I would do like this, and then I would copy, and then I would change it and say, I want to change the beginning of every line to have a comment in it and be done. And that will comment out the entire file. Okay, that's using an X command, and that's kind of beyond what we're going to do here, but there's lots of power. Anyway. Uppercase I inserts at the beginning of the text of the file. 0 takes you to the first of the file. I wish there was actually a command that would I wish there was a command that would insert at the beginning at the 0 position of the line. If you guys know of one, let me know. I don't know of one. So a lot of times when I do what I really want is I want something to be at the beginning of the line, the first position in the line, the 0 position in the line. And you can get to the 0 position with 0 and then I, right? But the problem with that is that uppercase I doesn't do it. No, uppercase I goes to the beginning of the text. And so you can see how that's a problem when you're commenting. So let's say I wanted to comment, Shift I from normal mode. Nope. So this is kind of annoying to me because, like, for example, if I want to comment all the lines and I want that to be at the beginning of the line, I haven't figured out a way to do that I could repeat easily. So for example, if I was going to do like 0i comment, okay, and now if I go to the next line, does it do it? Oh, it does it. Never mind. I guess I just found it out. So it is 0i. Yep, so 0. Uppercase I default is not intended for 0 position, right? So, but what I'm saying is, like, if you want to comment something out, so the other reason that I don't do automated comments in visual mode is because I've learned how to spam these things pretty well. So, but this says, so if I'm like right here and I'm going to go 0i comment, and then I go to the next line, I want it to comment all the lines. So you see what I'm doing? And by the way, if you want to delete them all, what do? Guys, how do I delete the comments here? X J I J I J I J. So you see what I'm saying? And then you can go through and delete them all. So 0i comment, and then I'm going to comment out the lines. Now there's obviously better ways to do that, but that is totally fine for me. From 9 times out of 10, I don't even want to comment all the lines, and I can do that with a few keystrokes. So I'm going to have to undo all those things. I think you can do like a 10 undo. I haven't tried that, but that would probably be a way to do that. Anyway, where are we? So let me make sure. That's what I usually do. Control V. Yeah, visual mode. I don't use visual mode because visual mode is not supported in Vim. This is why I don't use it. I tried it. I used it for a long time. I do not use Vim commentary. A lot of people like Vim commentary. Not a fan. It's another plugin that I don't want to use if I don't have to. Those things are not compelling enough for me to switch over. So for what they're talking about doing, people, is visual mode. So food.md or whatever, and they're talking about visual mode, which is Control V, blah 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 blah, and what is it? Shift I, and then put a comment, and then save it, and then it comments everything out. So that, but how is that any different than what I just did? I could have done what I just did in the same amount of time. Yeah. And so I don't do visual mode. It is possible that you can undo the whole thing as one. Here's the problem though. If you're using actual VI, you can't do that. So there is no visual mode. Doesn't exist. Bye-bye. And that's actually one of the things they cover in the tutorial. So I'd rather not add that. I don't need it. I don't need it. I mean, if you want to use it, fine, but I don't need it. So I would rather use other things that are VI compatible. More changes using C, we did that. So we did all the summation there. Cursor location file, we did that. We talked about help. We talked about G and GG, super important. That's all. I don't believe in like remembering your line. I don't do Control G and marks and all that stuff. I just search. I use search for everything. Visual mode is covered, but I wish it wasn't because it's a Vimism. And yeah, the search command, this section, make sure you memorize this. This is the most important thing. Combining search with N and period is so powerful. As you saw me changing the finding, interactively finding and replacing. I'm using Linux Mint. Because I'm streaming, I use tons of Linux Cs. Matching parentheses search. The only one here that I use is curly bracket, and you guys can learn all the ones you want. That's fine. I don't use them. The only one I use is curly bracket, and the reason for that is because that's how you select a section. And so this is the way that I'm able to do the magic wand that you guys saw me doing earlier. So let me show you what you can do with the left curly bracket. So here you go. Insert the same character across multiple lines. Does it appear like this? I don't know. So here we go. So let me do a list here. For I in 1 to 10, do echo item $1 period thing. Okay. And this is not syntax highlighting because I'm writing bash code in the middle of Markdown. So, but what if I want to send this all to bash? So watch the command. Exclamation point, right curly bracket. And what that does is it translates that into an X command down in the bottom left that says send the current line up to, the comma means up to the third line following to the following shell command. And so if I type bash, it's as if it sent those lines to the standard input of bash and replaces them with the output of that command. So this is an important one. Okay, so bang section select, and section select is awesome because it selects blocks of code. So I use it all the time to select blocks. It knows about the 3 lines because I did the right curly bracket. Let me do that again. All right, so watch carefully, watch my keystrokes. All right, so I'm going to do exclamation point, and then I'm going to do right curly. And what that does is that positions, the right curly bracket is a positional command. No, right curly bracket is how far it takes to get to the next blank line. It navigates to the end of the current section. And that means the current thing without a blank line. And so by saying exclamation point, it means, yeah, with lines without a blank line. Right. And so the reason, I don't know if you watched me last night, but when I was doing my CSS, I was combining my CSS rules together so there were no blank lines. Why? Because I wanted to copy out all of the contiguous lines using the section cut. So another way to do that, so here's another reason you would use this. So let's say I want to cut out this entire, let's say this was all one thing here. Okay, so let's say I want to cut out this whole section. All right. So I'm actually going to delete this section. Okay. How do I delete this section? D and then curly bracket. So that deletes everything up until the curly bracket. Undo. So D curly bracket, right? Now, if I had another line right here, it won't get it. Here's another, so here we go. Let's say I just want the calendar. D curly. Okay, this is why I use this constantly. I'm like yanking, if I don't want to make another one, P, see there? I'm going to like make 10 copies of it, you know, so I can do that. Let's say I want to yank this again. Yeah, so you write code in sections like that and keep curly brackets in mind. No, it's not about the curly brackets, it's about the blank line. In fact, because of this, I will admit it has influenced my use of white space within a function. A lot of times I won't use white space in a function because I know I want to cut and paste that function some other time. And it's slightly easier to do that than it is to do the line numbering. If I did that without line numbering, how would I do it, by the way? How can I do this without? So D, we know that deleted that whole line, right? I'm going to delete the whole thing. By the way, I just deleted the rest of the file. You see that one? Watch. If you want to see, look at all the crap I have in the rest of the file. How do I delete everything to the end of the file? D, capital G. And it goes to the end, it chops the whole file. So let's say I want to delete this line, this segment right here. So D curly, okay, puts it there. Another way though, how can I do that same exact thing without using the right curly bracket? How can I do it? There's another way. We've already learned it. I'm not using visual mode. Visual mode is the devil. Nope, visual mode is not the way to do that. How about this? D:31, enter. Oops, I need to be 32. Sorry about that. In this case, I could do DG and it'll go to the end, so that's fine. I could also use D32. Oh wait, sorry, D:32. Or I could use. The problem here is I've got a line on the end. I need a blank line, and it will actually do it. So here we go. D:32. Oops, let me do that again. So that would grab the whole thing. Yeah, you could do that same thing. Yes, it's easier than bash syntax. I don't agree that that's easier. That's, first of all, it's many items, orders of magnitude more, but you can definitely do it. It's in my bash. If you go to rdbx.gg/vi #magic, I don't use visual mode. Look, okay, you guys, you Python programmers out there, you want this one? Okay, here we go. Bang, bang. Python 3, enter. There you go. There's your Python. And I have a Python example for you in my write-up on that. So just want to make sure you know that. Comment lines up. Well, the moment the magic wands come into play, it should be easy to comment on posts. Yes. So here we go. Bang, bang. I'm going to comment this out right now. Bang, bang. I'm going to put comments CMT. Boom. Commented out the whole thing. Undo. All right. because why? Because I wrote a CMD command that can be used in anything, not just VI, to do the commenting. So boom, boom, I want to do CMT with different characters. Boom, 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 boom. How about that? Now I've got different characters. So the idea of magic wands in conjunction with the Bash shell, again, I've been talking about this all day, makes VI supreme, in my opinion. So here we go, boom, boom, and I just killed it. Anyway, so let's go back to the navigation thing, to the snippet of code until a blank line is seen. Exactly, Lakshan, that's what's going on. So actually you can write this code in Python-esque mode like this, and you could do like this, and send that to Python 3, and that will do the same thing. Why did it do it that way? Because let me try to do that slower this time. So bang, right, curly bracket, that translates it to send the current 2 lines to the following shell command, Python 3, which interprets it and then runs it and replaces the current those lines with the output of those lines. So it's actually super powerful, and because of this integration, which we've been talking about a lot today. Let's go back to the Vim tutor, and let me see if I can find that. Where is it? I don't even know. Where is my Vim tutor? I lost my Vim tutor. There it is. Vim tutor. Vim tutor. What are we on? I think we're almost time. We got 10 minutes left. We're gonna make it. I think we're on lesson. I think we're on lesson 4 for navigation munch. I don't. It makes sense to do that, but I don't do it. I'm telling you, my #1 way to do navigate is to search for specific words. My brain just like latches on to a unique word that I was last working on. And then I rather than learning line numbers or navigating by page, I just go right to it. So I go /lesson 4.3 and I jump right to it and I'm ready to go. It's actually no cognitive overhead to do that. So GA, what's that do? GA. So anyway, the search command we talked about. Let's go on. Using parentheses to search, we just talked about that. I don't even know what the bracket and the parenthesis do. I'm actually going to... Oh, never mind. So this isn't even searching. So this is just a parenthesis. So let's show this, guys. So the parentheses is actually pretty damn cool. Most people who like plugins don't use this very much because they just rely on their plugin. There's a lot of plugins. There's a lot of plugins that will automatically, this is useful when you have people that write functions that span more than one screen, which is, or, code blocks that span more than one screen, which is completely idiotic and nobody should do it, but lots of people do. And if you don't know where the end of the thing is. And so you get on it and you do %sign. So I do use it randomly, but not very frequently because most of the code I write doesn't span too far. And usually I can find it by function name and not the end of the curly bracket. This is useful in like debugging problems. Like if you leave your trailing curly, which everybody does, if you leave your trailing curly off, there's a plugin called Rainbow and there's a curly match and there's like 1,000 plugins to help you with this, that will show you that. And anyway, so there we go. That is nice to have. Oh, so here's a good old substitute mode. I use this mostly for like commenting out large sections of text. So if I want to comment out everything in the entire thing, I just do bang, bang. I actually use magic wands even when I'm not going to use a magic wand command. Why? Because I'm so programmed to do that. So I do bang capital G and I backspace out the exclamation point and I type my S command. Because it does all my navigation for me. Some people memorize all of the different X command syntax. I don't feel a need to, because I can just memorize 3 magic wands, the line magic wand, the section selector magic wand, and the select to the end of the file magic wand, which are covered in, rdbx.gg/vi #magic. And by using those 3 magic wands, I can either send those lines to the, any program I want, in terms of like commenting. So for example, if I want to comment out the rest of the file, I just do CMT and I'm done. You see what I mean? So my fingers automatically go for the magic wands every time. So, and then now if I want to do something besides send it to a file, I still use a magic wand command and I just edit it. So I do boom, boom, and then I take this off and then I do S and I want to replace the first line with the hashtag and then enter, and now I get the comments. So in that case, I actually used an X command to do the substitution, or I can just pipe all of that stuff through a 3-line script that does the commenting for me. So then I can just do it like this. I can do, I want to send that to CMT, CMT, and then I want to have like this, I want to like lots of lines. So now they're all like commented, undo. So once again, the magic wands for the win, and they allow you to customize what you're going to do with your filters and your pipes in a much, much more powerful way. In fact, you can even transform every line based on what's in the line. A brief Git flow work for the Discord channel. Thanks. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go down there. So the substitute command, I don't use it very much. This is a very, very common substitution command. These are X commands. This thing I don't understand is why they jump into these complicated X commands in this beginner tutorial without covering, I don't know, capital G. You know, they left a bunch of beginner stuff out, and then they cover a bunch of X commands that are not useful when you know about magic wands, which they don't cover. Well, they do cover it. We're about to get to it. So lesson 4, Control G moves to the end of file, GG. We have searching, we have the matching, we have the stupid substitution, which has nothing to do with this lesson. So again, a little bit triggered. How to execute an external command. External commands are the proper name for magic wands. Magic wands are exclamation point. Okay, lots of people do this, and it's like you can like type calendar, and it'll show your calendar. You push enter, and it'll go back. Or you want to show your time, and you don't want to use this. This is Tmux time, but if you want to use time, yes, $$ is used a lot. But I don't ever do $. I use the magic wands by themselves. So if I'm going to do that, I just do bing bing because I'm going to do it. And then if I wanted to, I can just say call because it will replace the current line. And if there's nothing to replace, it will still just run it anyway. The difference is that it actually acts on the current line. But if I didn't want it to, I could just do this. It's not that much extra. I have done this most of the time. The reason I don't use the $$ commands is because I can do this. How fast did I just do that in Tmux? I don't need to execute another command. If I'm editing my VI, I want to see what's on my VI screen. I don't want to leave my VI screen to see something else. Maybe in the old days, people wanted to do that because they couldn't see multiple panes. So like if I was running in a window or something. But these days, why would I ever leave that? So let's say I'm looking up some information about, oh, I don't know, like how to print and go. So rather than do, in the old days, you would do this, you'd like run bash and you'd like do a search, you know, or something like printing and go in Golang or something. And I would find my print format command, right? But now I'm going to look up the syntax really quickly. Oh, there's the syntax, but I can't see my thing I'm working in. And I can't get back to it without throwing it away. So why would I ever use it? Doesn't make any sense to use it. So I don't use the $! I use the dot and, you know, the transformation commands a lot, and those are the true magic wands. But just shelling out for no reason doesn't make any sense. If I want to do that, I'll go do it over here, and then I'll do this. So like Golang printing, and so now I've got Golang printing going on, and I can pull up my FMT, and I can go find my examples over here, and I can go back over here, and I can do my editing over here, and still have the two panes open. So we've already talked about this before, but the combination of Vim and Tmux have rendered many of the Vim functions completely useless, including splitting panes. People tell me all the time that I should use NVim because I can split panes, and I'm like, don't you use Tmux? And they're like, what's that? Like, why would I limit myself to splitting panes only while I'm using NVim that I've had to install NeoVim? It doesn't make any sense to me. I would rather use a pane anywhere, anytime using Tmux. Right? Exactly. Why would I split a pane using Vim? Using how to split panes in Vim benefits you when you're using Vim. Learning how to split panes when you're using Tmux benefits you all the time on any system. Okay? And so you can not like tmux all you want, but you'll never ever match the efficiency of splitting multiple actual panes to read documentation from which you can cut and paste, which removes the needs to use registries, which I don't use either in Vim. And then you can actually cut and paste between any terminal application. I just don't get the argument that people use to use Vim for splitting panes. Makes no sense at all to me. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, tmux has been around forever. Anyway, so let's go back down. How do I execute an external command? There's a lot of ways that you can execute an external command. None of them matter unless you're replacing what's in your code with that output of that external command, which they don't cover at all. If you want to understand how to cover that, there's already a tmux tutorial, and I'll do another one. Apparently, I have to do another one to take you through tmux. So we'll do a tmux tutorial after this, apparently. So again, this is part of the book. If I ever write it, it'll be called Linux Terminal Mastery. And it fundamentally requires the combination of Bash, Vim, tmux, Linux, in my opinion. And if you really want to go all the way, Mutt, because Mutt is, I know people laugh, but Mutt is the fastest possible way to do email. I swear to God. And once you actually learn how to use Mutt from the terminal and can edit all of your stuff from VI and can combine the magic wands to send the entire, text-based, role to the people that are attending your school and everything, you can integrate everything from the terminal that you do into your email system while you're editing email, and you never touch a graphic interface. And I promise you, once you actually experience that workflow for a while, you won't go back. It takes a while to get it set up, but once you have that full terminal mastery down, your days, you just scream through email like no problem using Vim mapping on your Mutt. It's just so intensely fast to put a terminal aside Vim like that. Yeah, you can do that all you want. That's not going to work across multiple systems with tmux, and you're not going to have your nvim on a remote system. So I think use of nvim like that is actually an anti-pattern. But people do it. Lots of people do that. They don't care about being productive on multiple systems. All right, so here we go. Selecting text to write. This is a little bit of a thing that we should probably cover. This is very valuable and useful, except for we're kind of done. See if I'm going to scream through these as fast as I can. Look, if you're going to stay on one system your whole life, fine, but that's not professionally what goes on. So if I want to send these lines, if I want to send everything, let's say I want to send everything to line 662 into a file, and I do this all the time. This is how I do big paste buffers. So I do bang, let's see, no, I can do :w, let's see, no, let me see, this is me, I'm still a magic wand guy. So I'm going to do bang : 662, enter, and I'm going to remove the exclamation point and change it to a W, because it does my selection for me. And then I'm going to say I want to write that to temp foo, and then it will write it out to the file. And then I can come down here and I can insert it using :R, which is really commonly used. So :R temp foo, there we go. And it'll pull the file, it'll pull it in. A lot of people have compared the magic wands to the following: :R, whoops, let me clear my screen key. So a lot of people will do this. They'll do :R exclamation point cal, and that, I never use that, because what's the exact equivalent to that? Magic wand again, bang bang cal. Same exact function. It does exactly the same thing. It's faster to type, and it works for everything. So learn the magic wands, and you'll be better integrated into everything else. Retrieving emerging files, that's what we've talked about with R. Some kind of document. I do have a document. This video is a big start on that. rwx.gg/vi has the beginnings of this document. But I believe I need to make a more polished version that talks about a workflow that doesn't involve all of the other little things, which is why I did this. So, and this is going to be on YouTube, of course, if you want to rewatch all of it. And so lesson summary, there executes external command. Again, they didn't even cover the bang bang. And
the magic wand stuff. They don't cover it. I'm actually gonna. Yeah, I don't know. So this right here is the closest thing to a magic wand that they cover. This R:D, but that's not the same. I can do. Okay, look. Let me do this. R. Oops. Let me wait for this. R. :dir. All right. Great. Here's another way to do that. Bang bang dir. Which one's faster? Bang bang dir. Done. Or I can do :R dir. Nope. Don't do it. Bang bang dir. Done. Just learn that one. It's the only one you ever need to learn. Open the open command. Open. Okay, open is actually really important. Open actually inserts on the next line. I use it all the time. Capital opens on the beginning line, inserts a line. I do use those all the time. Those are pretty standard. They're much easier than I, because they do open a new line. 90% of the time you want to open a new line, or you want to add to the current line, which is what? Capital A. All right. So we're almost done. I'm going to stick with this until the end, even if I go over. The append command, we already talked about this. Why this isn't with capital A, I don't know. We already talked about it. So single A adds after to the, so it's the opposite of I. I puts it in front of the key, and A puts it after. All right. So that's a thing. And another way to replace R is replace, which just replaces the current. I never ever use R. There's no reason. Why would you use R? Capital R says what? Replace more than one character. Okay, so capital R. Blah, 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 blah. Why would I do that? I don't want it. Yeah, is there? It already does capture standard output. That's what it does already. Only the standard output and not error. Yeah, it's a full command. So let's try that. Sometimes you have to decolorize things too. But anyway, don't use capital R, use capital C. Why would you leave shit around that you have to like overwrite? Doesn't make any sense. Right? So look, if you really want to change everything to the end of the line, capital R will let you write over it, but who cares? Capital C gives you all the stuff and then you save it. It's much better. Capital C. Just forget that capital R exists. Copy and paste. Y is your best friend. If you want to yank 3 characters, yank 3L, and then you can p those to your heart's content. And I'm doing ASCII art. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Maybe. So don't use R. Copy and paste Y to and P, and then YY of course is a yank. So I don't need to tell you about that. Something to keep in mind when you yank an entire section, you can go to another file and you can P to paste across files. That is a really serious advantage of using Vim over VI. However, be very careful. Make absolutely sure these lines are in your vimrc, or you will be very surprised. If you do not increase the size of your buffers on a viminfo yank, you will delete files from one file, go to another file and hit P and only get the content up to the buffer's ending. And I have lost code this way because I was trying to transfer the code into another file. I was factoring out, and I went to factor it out, and when I had deleted it from the other file, assuming it was in the buffer, went to the other file, pasted it, and was missing 200 lines of it because I was copying about 1,000 lines. That's because the buffer had been truncated. The bad part about that is when you're in the middle of a working workflow state. And so I didn't have a Gim backup. I lost that code. So this is one of the most insidious ways that Vim can make. Now, if I had been using VI in the old days, what I would have done is I would have just written that code to a file and then :R-ed the file back into the other file. And that is safe. That's a very safe way to do that. But if you're planning on using your delete and paste, or yank and paste across file boundaries, which Vim only allows, VI does not, then you better be damn sure that you bump up those line numbers, or you're going to get surprised and you're going to lose code. It does. It limits how much code can be applied between buffers. But the worst part about it is that it quietly truncates it. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. RWX Rob for the win. I mean, wife. Not me. What am I saying? So anyway, just know you have that. I got to go here pretty soon, but we're getting very close to the end. So where are we? Are we on Vim Tutor still? I don't even know where we are. Like, where are we? I've got lots of things going on. All right, well, I'll put a new one here. No, I don't ever do that. I never use those history commands because they're dangerous. They're so dangerous. I would rather actually go edit the command and then change it. I am an avid anti double exclamation point user when it comes to the history function for that thing. So we're talking about different things, by the way. Don't get confused, those of you. I use bang bang all the time inside of VI, but never use it on the command line. People love to say how cool that is. It's not. It's got many very, very serious problems. So we've already talked about getting help. We talked about O. We talked about A for inserting after things. E moves to the end of the word. Who cares? Just search for the word. You should probably be using W anyway for everything, because what does W do? W goes to the beginning of the word, and when you're deleting it, you want to delete to the beginning of the next word, not to the end of the current word. Delete E just deletes that and leaves an extra space. Maybe you want that, but rarely. Y yanks P paste, capital R does nothing you care about. Set ignore case and all this stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow when we change like ignore case and set and you turn line numbers on. All of this stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow. Prepend notice switching on and off. So that basically in like 5 lines they like hint at what you can do in your Vim RC rather than covering it, which is not okay. This all needs to be written down, of course. Getting help. Use the online help system. Vim has a comprehensive system. We talked about that already. Jumping from one window to another. I don't jump from one window to another, but if you need to do that, I've actually remapped mine. Mine doesn't use Control W, it uses VI commands to navigate between the terminals when I can't avoid having my pane split because I'm using help. When you use help, you have to have it does split your pane on occasion, and I hate that. But you know, it is what it is. So if you want to shift your panes, see, my Control W gets in the way. I don't even use it. So I'm going to colon Q exclamation point on that. All right. So here we go. C and C++. Yeah, I don't ever do that. What else we got? Start editing a file. I don't ever use that. That's pretty cool, but I never do it. I just open a new pane and edit the file in the other pane. The end. Now run the example of MRC content. This is interesting, but I don't like it. This is going to read in the file. It's fine. I use :W all the time to write. I don't know. These are like out of place. Completion. No, I don't do completion. But first of all, completion is a very Vim thing. I'm sorry this was so intense. This is not, let's see, tab with Vim complete. Let's do, set no CP. I actually want to see, type the start of a command and then :E. ls :E. I don't know. I don't use completion at all. A lot of people love it. I'll show you a list of commands. Control D. Again, this is all Vim stuff. This is not VI stuff, so I don't use it. And there's the end of summary part 7. So we are done. This has been a really whirlwind tour. If nothing more, there's the Vim Improved. This is the one of the books that I have. The O'Reilly book is good too. This is the one I have, Learning a Vim Editor. I do need to make my own Vim tutorial that's based on Magic Wand centric and search centric uses of Vim. It would be at least my version of it, but it would be based on this 3 hours of ranting to get that across. So hopefully people will get a sense of it and give it a shot. I am going to drop so I can go do my yoga and get healthy and calm down. This has been very intense. It is a lot to cover. Again, they say that we're supposed to cover that whole entire tutorial in 30 minutes. No. if you want to talk about languages and, you know, go into the Fight Me room, Discord, and say what your ones are the favorite. Tomorrow we will be doing VimRC, my VimRC, and I'll at least explain to you what it is. And we'll go through that and try to itemize what those things are. Again, if you need to rewind this video, if you need to, you know, get your head around what I'm talking about, then maybe this is a catalyst for that. You are the one doing the learning. Make sure you're taking the notes and you're doing your own research. But please don't discount the power of, you know, the magic wands. Anyway, and you might have to rewatch the video a couple times. And I'm probably going to watch the video myself in order to, you know, write my tutorial on this. That's more centered on modern uses of Vim that are combined with Tmux and Bash. And when you combine those three together, you get a very different list of priorities. Okay, so I hope I haven't offended too many people. I've been going really fast and being very opinionated, but at least it gives you. I believe in opinions as long as you have something to back them up with. Okay, so yeah, let's raid somebody. Who should we raid? We're gonna start with C. You guys that are talking about what's coming, please just consider. I'm changing the schedule up a little bit, but we're gonna do Vim tomorrow. We're gonna do Bash scripting next week, and how is Tmux on any system? Tmux is on most systems today. But Screen is on every Windows every Unix system in the world. And so my Tmux is based on Screen. So when I don't have Tmux, I use Screen. And I can do the same thing just without the pains. That's why. And it has the same cutting and pasting capability. So this is what's coming up next, in case you're wondering. JavaScript, then web design, and then C, then Go. And then we'll start all over again. In fact, I told you I started a schedule/next. Which is going to be a revision to the schedule for our next boost based on stuff we've learned from here, such as more intense time going over Tmux. I feel like we need to spend a lot more time on the core Linux mastery skills, that's why I'm asking about your input on that. If you'd like to be involved with input into how the course is going and what to do, how you might suggest something different, open up the contributors channel in the Discord and let me know. Otherwise, last night, and okay, I can't promise tonight, but a lot of times when I get on at night, I'm here to actually do this stuff. Oh yeah, let's do Lena. Check your top list. I'm not seeing hits. Twitch top. Lena's probably there. Unreal Hero. Oh, Adam's right there. Adam rated us yesterday. Let's rate him back, shall we? Adam rated us a little while ago. Let me go rate him. What is AWS? AWS is having a conference, it looks like. I think it's so funny when people put their own language, their favorite language in their name. Should we do Amazon? If you want to compare, that's fine. I mean, you guys, Amazon Web Services, should we do them? Is Twitch this thing? Yeah, you want one? There's my Twitch script. If you want it, you can read what it does and figure it out. It's in my config, by the way. I agree. Let's rate Adam. So, yeah, Adam's awesome. I need to learn some web development from that guy. He's great. Got some good web development going on. My web development skills are falling behind because it's so hard to keep up with web development. Yeah, do Adam. All right, well, that's going to take a little bit to pick up. Kill my screen key. So we don't have that anymore. I'm going to be fixing websites and publishing pages. I'm going to do my yoga, but then I'm going to be... I don't know. Yeah. Hey, Bakari. Comment ça va? Ça va bien? I was like off the chain last night. By the way, if you tune in at night, Pearl CGI is all you need. I completely agree. If you tune in at night, just know that it's not PG. You know, I'm trying not to have a rated M rating, you know, on my channel. But when I'm at night, if you ever run into me at night, just know that I tend to it's just raw Rob. It's not like teacher Rob. so like if you know the F word offends you, I might accidentally use 1 or 5. So yeah, I do I teach here, and then I got to teach another 6 hours tonight to make actual money. By the way, once again, all you great subs, all you people who are supporting me, there you are. Here's all of the numbers have gone down. There's no doubt about that. But it's fine. It's the people really helping me out. Thank you. We'll see you. Yeah. X time RWX. Have we gone away yet? I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. I don't want to lose you guys. You guys will actually go there even if I found this out the hard way, even if I stop the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right now. But have a great day.